What's poppin'? My friends, my family, welcome. We got one hell of a stream planned for you guys today. Where do we even get started with all the crazy details that was revealed with the newest Epstein files release? I was writing on X before how I believe this is truly a make or break moment for humanity right now. And we're seeing a great awakening. There are a lot of people who criticize conspiracy theorists. There are people who criticize tankies, and we was proven right about absolutely everything about our pedophile, child sacrificing, child torturing capitalist class. And what made me sick about this story, and we got a ton of receipts to get to today. God knows how long it's gonna take to get through this show that I have planned for you guys today. But the revelation from the newest Epstein files, it really is shaking the core of the American populace. The media trying their best to report on this and bury all the substance of it. They making it all about the red blue game. They're making it all about characters. Fam, this shit is not about characters. You have our pedophile capitalist class who are all connected to each other. Like these Epstein files reveal that these people have these substantial networks with top business people, heads of states. The Catholic Church is involved with Jeffrey Epstein. You have Epstein bragging about owning the France government, the UK government. Like this is the moment where the West must fall. And the media covered up a lot of the gruesome details in the Epstein file, like the child worship, the child sacrificing torture rituals that they did. And you guys notice that whenever they talk about the Epstein files, they made it just about Trump, just about Epstein preying on teenage girls, which is bad enough. But why wasn't there any conversations about the massive murders, the people they had executed? Like, most people didn't realize how absolutely dark this was. Now a lot of people are realizing why the ruling class or members of the ruling class wasn't moved at all by all the footage of dead children in Gaza. Remember, there would be like protesters yelling at Hillary Clinton. How have you been moved by the dead photos of children in Gaza? How haven't that affected you? Now you guys see why the ruling class didn't give a damn about dead children in Gaza. Consider they engaged in torture videos and child blood sacrifices. The royal family in the UK needs to be completely abolished. Their prince was caught raping children. They was caught facilitating and hiding this. Yeah, tankies were proven right once again. You guys want to know who's not part of Epstein files? Where are the communists? Xi Jinping is not part of Epstein files. Hamas is not on the Epstein files. Nicolas Maduro not part of Epstein files. And this is the natural result of capitalism when you have a commoditization of humans. When you reduce humanity down to the decadent capitalist society, of course you commodify children. These people who built police states around them were the police, the FBI, who was burying these stories, who was in contact with Epstein. They know exactly that they will be covered for all the crimes. You had Donald Trump bragging about, and we're going to get to this later, about how he can get essentially anyone killed. That's why when people talk about electoral politics, to me, I'm like, bro, shut the fuck up. We need to be building militias. We need to be building militias to protect ourselves from these torturing capitalists. Donald Trump was telling his victims, you better not say anything or we'll have you and your entire family murdered. So they gangsters is often people. So when do we start gang banging back? Stop gang banging against other members of the working class, and we need to start figuring out how the way we can defend ourselves and our children from these psychos. Yeah, tankies always get it right. And there was a lot of indication We're going to get to how Putin, the West charged Vladimir Putin and convicted him as a war criminal because they claimed he was kidnapping children. But what in reality, what he was doing was protecting the Ukrainian children from the human trafficking elite, because Epstein was working hand in hand with Ukrainian leaders. Zelensky reached out to Epstein, and he was closely connected to Epstein, and it was running a human trafficking ring out of Ukraine. Bro, the NATO left has been completely discredited. Reformists have been completely discredited. How the fuck are you going to reform a system that is built to protect children torturing pedophiles who have no humanity? Might as well be goddamn demons. Are you going to reform this system? Remember, Jeffrey Epstein got a sweetheart deal. Everyone in the ruling class knew what he was doing. That's the most damning thing about Elon Musk and all these people reaching out to him, because it proves that everyone knew what was going on. Everyone wanted to be part of that island. Noam Chomsky is another one. It's so glorious to see this man's legacy destroyed while he's still alive to witness it happen. This anti-communist scumbag has been caught. He, in coordination with Jeffrey Epstein, gave them advice on how to do PR after raping children. Post-conviction of Jeffrey Epstein, he called, and it's confirmed that Noam Chomsky is a straight-up racist who believed in the racial superiority of Jewish people. Jewish supremacy has been exposed in a big way. We're going to get to that here very soon as well. We see how the elite Jewish cabal talks about us among each other. And Chomsky was like, yeah, I believe in racial IQ. I believe that there are different levels of race intelligence. So when you hear Jewish people say that, do you think they will rank Jewish people below anyone else? When you hear Noam Chomsky say, I believe that there's a difference between racial IQ, do you think he's like, I think I'm lower than everyone else? Whenever you hear people say that, it's not they're saying that they're on the bottom. That's them making an argument. And Noam Chomsky is a Jewish supremacist who made an argument that Jewish people have the highest IQ. They all believe that. Racist, pedophile enabling scum. And Noam Chomsky, this is his legacy now. Now we see why he spent a lot of his time smearing the Soviet Union, smearing revolutionary movements, supporting bullshit. Chomsky everywhere is in the files. It wasn't just old age. It wasn't a mistake. Yeah, him being vote blue no matter who was not a mistake. He told people to vote for Hillary Clinton. So why should we give him the benefit of the doubt that he's not doing Hillary Clinton a favor as a part of this Epstein pedophile cabal? The entire Social Democrats was a part of it. And then the Epstein elite, they try to reach out to Norman Finkelstein, someone who was financially ruined because he called out the Jewish supremacy problem. And Norman Finkelstein told them to go fuck themselves. You guys see the difference between a Noam Chomsky and a Norman Finkelstein and Michael Parenti? Social Democrats and Western chauvinists have been completely and utterly exposed. You know, the leftists are like, man, I think we need to build socialism among Western, using the structure that Western capitalist society provides us. And they will criticize tankies for being the people who want to burn it all down and reform it from the ground up using the dictatorship of the proletariat model and suppressing the interests of the capitalist class. And reading through these files and seeing all the horrible stuff they have done, I explained this, I was talking about this on Twitter. The one issue I believe I shift to the right on, and I'm completely changing my opinion on this, is the death penalty. Because I believe that every single one of these Jewish pedophiles need to be put to death. We need a death penalty for anyone who took part in these satanic rituals. Like, for example, this guy. Why would they redact this, guys? Let me show you guys this. Why would they redact this? There was some businessman that was exposed. Actually, I'm gonna pull up his identity. This guy to Epstein said, "Where are you? Are you okay? I love the torture video." So you guys realize that they had, and I got all these receipts I'm gonna show you guys. God knows how I'm gonna get through it all. But Jeffrey Epstein and his child torturing friends provided electrical shocks to children, cut their feet up, engaged in the worst torture possible because they believed that they spiked their adrenaline and get adrenaline in their blood. They would then drink the blood and they will retain their youth. These are things that they was talking about in the files. They were talking about how if you engage in torture, you can have people reach a heightened state of awareness. And through that heightened state of awareness, if you drink their blood, there's a lot of health benefits. Fam, if you guys think you can rehabilitate these people, you are out of your damn mind. So I just said that I was wrong before. I 100% support the death penalty. And I know I might get banned for this stream, but how is that a ban-worthy position? Because that's a standard position in the United States, in the West, supporting the death penalty. I 100% support the death penalty. Because I support what China is doing to their billionaires. China is murdering their billionaires. This is why the people who complain about authoritarian communism are full of shit. You are supposed to take these people out. So if I support billionaires being murdered in China, and this is why there's no Jeffrey Epstein in China. You guys understand that? This is exactly why. So I can't say that on principle, I don't support the death penalty. I don't support the death penalty being the capitalist class power. Yeah, we know they would abuse it. We know the capitalists would never put their own to death. That's why we need to seize the means of production, implement a dictatorship of the proletariat, and murder every single person involved. Well, there's my channel. But how is that even ban worthy? People if it's okay to support the death penalty, but am I supposed to be in trouble for calling for the death of people who torture children to death? Look, bro, they conducted human sacrifice rituals on Epstein Island, including eating children. So guys, please save this video, screen record this, because if I get banned for the stream, just let it be known that YouTube is banning me for calling for the death of people who eat children alive. This is gonna be a risky ass stream to do. Actually, I need to get off RBN ASAP. Yeah, I think before I continue this stream, bro. Yeah, let's get off RBN. If you're on the RBN side, make sure you guys subscribe to my Nick Cruz channel. I'm also live on X and Twitch. So Twitch I'm done on there probably. So make sure you guys follow me on there if you're on the RBN stream. I might end it there. I really hope I don't get RBN in trouble for that. This is like one of those streams where there's a 50-50 chance I might get in trouble. Even though I don't think I should. I know you guys can't see it, but here's the receipt. This guy was a victim of a type of ritualistic sacrifice in which his feet were cut with a scimitar, but left no scarring. On the yacht, he witnessed babies being dismembered, their intestines removed, and individuals eating the feces from the intestines. So people used to call them crazy. People used to call people crazy for bringing up how our ruling class are full of cannibals who eat children. But how many times are we going to see similar testimony before we're like, I think there's something to this? Do you guys think people have that identical of a imagination? Like people who want to protect the ruling class and people who say people are conspiracy theorists, they're like, oh man, people don't get together and conspire. That's one of the biggest booms that Noam Chomsky provided establishment. Noam Chomsky existed to convince the left to not believe that the capitalist class get together and conspire. He was like, his whole thing was rooting out quote unquote anti-conspiratorial thought among the left. And Noam Chomsky, throughout his time, his 34 years, you guys notice how the left never built power following the Noam Chomsky analysis of the capitalist structure. This is a great analysis. I want to show you guys this. Chomsky taught a generation to dismiss ruling class coordination as conspiracy theory while dining with the man who coordinated blackmail operations. So, fam, after this great. What I'm calling this the Great Awakening, because now people are like, holy shit, that was right. I was unapologetic of conspiracy theories. I told you guys the history of humanity. I said this multiple times on my channel. The history of humanity, if you study history, is the ruling class coordinating conspiracies with each other. The ruling class conspiring on how to manipulate the masses. Fam, that's called history. But then you have people like Noam Chomsky, like, no, you gotta understand, there's like these magical forces. But they just know. We just know. They just know what to do. No, they coordinating with each other. They got each other's email, phone numbers. And it has been revealed that the ruling class used Pizzagate. God damn, there's so much to cover here. Pizzagate and the entirety of right-wing politics has been exposed as an op. You guys know Poll was created by an Epstein associate? Fam, there are people that are going through an existential crisis because all these right-wing culture warriors, they realized that their ideology was essentially implanted to them by the elite capitalist class who had a plan to keep the working class people divided by having them fight on irrelevant culture wars and dividing the poor working class based on race. That's why all these racist sites popped up. That's why 4chan and Poe became big, because it was all part of their plan. And remember, they promoted Pizzagate. They took Pizzagate, which has been confirmed to be 100% real, that the FBI and the State Department knew about. And you guys see how Poe and 4chan and the right wing and left wing media apparatus made it about partisanship, and they dumbed it down. They made it about a pizza shop. Like, you guys see how they try to mix truth with what's false, and this was 100% on purpose, because in the latest Epstein releases, they're using the same language during Pizzagate, and it was exposed how they have code words for children like pizza, pineapple, all these different stuff. So they took something that was real and made it a ton of bullshit. And then liberals were like, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist madman if you believe in Pizzagate. And then the Republicans and the right wingers, they played the part by making it dumb as fuck. But, oh, don't you know this is only a Democrat thing? Had nothing to do. They don't bring up the Mossad. Don't bring up Israel. Jesus Christ. Let's go for, look, pizza is mentioned 911 times in the files. Do you guys think that Jeffrey Epstein was just a pizza enthusiast? Do you think all these high diners in the ruling class who used to having $1,000 plates every evening just have a taste for pizza? They eat their clam chowder. They're like, after they eat their clam chowder, all the rich people shit, they're like, man, we really want some pizza. After they eat their filet mignons, the Wagyu beef. I think that's like the extent of my knowledge of expensive food. Whether the lobster platters, I don't fucking know. You think they eat all this expensive shit and they like, man, I really want a fucking pizza. And hot dogs. Even hot dogs, like a young boy. Pizza, grape soda, Chinese cookie are code names for different races and skin tones for children. The pizza party was great, had a lot of fun. So the ruling class, they just engaged in lots of pizza parties. This is crazy, man. Thanks for taking the boys' pizza. This is sick. Bro, even the most intense conspiracy theories couldn't come up with the shit that has been discovered in this. It has been like, you have Epstein. They named his account Ball. which is the demonic god that worshipped by some Hebrews in ancient Israel before they converted to Judaism. And if you guys don't know, Baal is like the god of fertility. In ancient days, they used to sacrifice children to guaranteed fertility in societies where Baal were worshipped. So apparently there are members of the ruling class who are still engaging in the same rituals of, if we sacrifice children, that will lead to great health prosperity from us. We will be blessed by the fertility god, Baal. Like, this is shit that the ruling class did and we thought was eliminated generations ago. And now there are a lot of people who've been vindicated, and a lot of these old videos popping up is a string. I don't know if you guys know the story of this woman. I remember seeing this years and years ago. We had this Mexican young girl here, Gabriela Rico Jimenez. She had this video where she had a meltdown, and I remember people was like, "Oh, this is." The corporate media was framing this like, "Oh, this is another example of mental illness." And while we gotta take mental illness so seriously, bro, you guys have no idea how evil this was. Yeah, I think it was 2009. I think the person got it. I think he got it wrong in the OP. Yeah, this is 2009. Yeah, hopefully I didn't say that. I mean, I'm pretty sure this is 2009. There was an email. Essentially, this is a person who was vindicated. And what the scariest thing about this story is, after this video, she was in government custody. They arrested her, and then she was disappeared despite being in government custody because they was like, she had a mental health breakdown. They took her, and then she disappeared. Never seen again. Then this lady, she was disappeared after this. She wasn't hunted down and murdered by assassins. She was in government custody, then never seen ever again. I think people have no idea I think most people have no idea the extreme evil that the ruling class is operating on, and how they feel like they have complete impunity. If you say anything, they will murder you. This is why we need to form militias. We need to form working class militias, and we're so behind on this, because I don't want to hear shit about electoral politics, bro. After this shit, and I'm serious, I was talking to Rome. I'm like, bro, I don't know how we're gonna do this, but we need to form RB and militia. Like, bro, these people are just awesome people. Donald Trump is bragging about murdering people. I still got the receipts saved. I'm kind of, in my rants, I may go out of order, but I got all these receipts for you guys. It took me like 3 hours, but I got like 4 pages of just links saved. I don't know if I can get through all of them today. Just showing you guys all the crazy shit for the Epstein files. And for reference, an average 2-hour stream of mine, it's usually like 1 page of links. I got like 3 pages of this shit today. And one of the receipts I'm going to show you guys when I get to it is how Donald Trump is bragging how if a 12-year-old girl says anything, not only will he murder her, he will murder their entire family. So when are we going to adapt to this reality that this whole pacifism thing was never embraced by the ruling class? Yeah. Bro, I was prepared. You guys see I got my Monster Energy drink. Zoe, I'm gonna need you to read some super chats. I'm gonna have to take a break later. I got a video prepared for when I take a break, because, bro, there's gonna be a lot of shit we got covered today. It's gonna be one of those days. I don't know how we're gonna do it, because the important point of every single revolution is having a working class militia. We need to start having like Like, I think we want to form RBN, working class militia, maybe start arming some comrades, having us meet up, having us show up at protests. And then let's say, hypothetically, we have someone who blows the whistle on a pedophile cabal like this person did, or like anyone who was murdered immediately after telling. We should put these people under our protection. Like, and I'm thinking about if the United States left, this is an alternate reality where the United States left actually had their shit together, didn't bought into the bullshit coming from Democratic Socialists and Noam Chomsky. Let's arm up. Let's engage in self-defense. And let's say there's a whistleblower. And I think my life is being threatened by the capitalist class. We take them under our protection. And if any G-man comes to try to do anything to them, we take them the fuck out. People, we take them the fuck out. Like, we are so behind on this. I'm the fighter, guys. Like, this shit pissed me off so much. I can't even say what I want to happen to these people. Like, the amount of bloodlust that I had reading this shit. Like, not only did I want to see these motherfuckers dead, I wanted to be the motherfucker who did it. Like, I wanted to be the axe swinger. Like, I don't even want to see someone else do it. I want to be the one. You two, don't get mad. Someone has to do it. Like, bro, if we overthrow the government, I might apply to be the one who fucking takes out these capitalists. You telling me out there all the receipts, you don't want to take these people off? And this is the most disgusting thing. And this is like the bloodlust has been rising. I just been on Twitter, like, putting out bangers. I delete so many tweets because I was like, man, I can't get my ex deleted. That's like my biggest platform. Elon Musk is implicated, so I don't want Elon Musk to see my tweet and think I'm threatening him directly. But fam, you don't understand, bro. You guys don't understand. I never had bloodlust like this before. Like, the amount I want to every single one of these motherfuckers on this list. Like, I know all these jiu-jitsu moves. Like, the Kimura lock is my favorite. I like the omoplata from the back, triangle, arm bars. I think we need to start testing these kind of moves on these people. Oh my god, dude. I need to stop because I'm gonna get in trouble. This is the kind of shit that made me want to fucking these people. You guys have, like, our imagination couldn't even conceive of the evil that these people were capable of. In a victim's diary, it is extremely hard to read. The victim states she was an incubator for Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. She gave birth multiple times as an incubator who gave birth to the babies who they would groom and later sacrifice. Tell me more about how you want to reform this system. Tell me, no one has taken a bigger L than reformists. Get the fuck out of it. You talking about you want to reform this? Burn this shit down. This is unbelievable. They had a farm where they were farming human babies. And then these same people say, oh, we're part of the pro-life movement. Isn't that insane? Do you guys see how insane these people are? Ron DeSantis was listed in the Epstein files because he raped a young boy. Then Ron DeSantis turn around and become an anti. Now he's like he accuses gay people of promoting pedophilia. Remember when the right wing said that if we support the LGBTQ movement, that will lead to the explosion of pedophilia? Meanwhile, you got Ron DeSantis that's raping boys. Nancy Mace raping boys. The Prince, they're all raping boys. I apologize. I know this may be sloppy in my communication. I'm not trying to tie pedophilia to homosexuality. I'm just saying that's what they do. They accuse gay people of grooming. I don't know if this sounds sloppy or whatever. But the ruling class is nothing but projection. They want you to think that Nicolas Maduro, with his crazy mobster with ties to criminal cartels. Meanwhile, it has been confirmed that Donald Trump actually has ties with the cartels. So essentially, you can take every single thing that they say about Xi Jinping, everything they say about Vladimir Putin, and how many times did I say this? And assume that they are doing that, but way worse. Way worse. Yeah, I don't want to hear shit about any of these culture wars anymore. Especially now it's been confirmed that Jeffrey Epstein played a big part of this. Ghislaine Maxwell was a fucking Reddit supermod. She was an account that had one of the highest posts in Reddit history. And this account completely disappeared the day that Ghislaine Maxwell was arrested. And it been highly traced back to her. The American people are not ready to acknowledge the level in which they've been psyoped. And I'm getting to all these receipts eventually because I got a ton of them. So let's get to the next one. But I think this is truly gut wrenching. I have a hard time reading this shit, man. Like when I read this shit, there's really nothing I can say that wouldn't get me in trouble. But let's just say this. I believe after this, there need to be working class hunting parties for these motherfuckers. But I gotta be very careful. Let's move on. Actually, I'm gonna make sure I get to some super chat. I'm gonna get to super chats now so I don't get too buried on them. Appreciate everyone for supporting this and supporting my cause, supporting my labor. I know it seems like I'm just ranting on stream, but fam, you guys know it took me like 3 hours to put this outline together. When I know I'm not even gonna get all this. I'm not even gonna be able to cover all this shit that I got written down. Like Jimmy explained it before. You guys realize that for every like hour of the show you guys see, there's like 2 hours of prep. And this show, I did a lot of prep over the weekend, making sure I can explain to you guys what was in the files, trying to memorize it. There's a whole segment on Ukraine and Russia, how Putin was saving Ukrainian children. You guys know I got the receipt for that. I have like a whole page written now. So, yeah, there's 3 million files. And there are a lot of stuff on there I can't cover today. Like hip-hop and black celebrities have been completely exposed. Jay-Z on the files. Beyonce is complicit. She knows everything that's going on. Rihanna was caught calling, like blowing up Jeffrey Epstein's phone. Everyone that you've known from Hollywood has been exposed as part of this blood-eating capitalist cabal. Yeah, Pusha T. Pusha T. Guys, I actually don't have that in my outline. I don't have time for that today because you guys know I don't care about celebrities like that. And I've been vindicated like a motherfucker. I've been letting everyone know. I've been telling people my whole life I hate black celebrities. I think all these rappers in this modern age is trash. All of them are trash. I'm still old head. And the difference between the quality of rap now in the 90s and 80s, it's miles and miles. And now we know why. Because every single rapper was chosen by the pedophile elite. It doesn't matter if you have talent. You just have a writer who will write your shit. You get all these sponsorship deals. You get signed by talent agencies. You get promoted. Every motherfucker that we see in today, especially every single black celebrity, is fake and manufactured. Nicki Minaj and her family are fucking pedophiles. Beyonce, she was caught telling, and there was a whistleblower who explained how Beyonce was telling young talent that they gotta embrace blood, rituals, smear. Like it's crazy. I don't even have time to cover that. That's one of the things that I can touch briefly on it. But I want to get to the Ukraine connection. Epstein, like he bragged about how they must create conflict all around the world because whenever there's conflict, that gives them an opportunity to traffic children. Fam, I was in the lab cooking, like reading all this shit. You guys know that Turkey took $200 million to sell children to Jeffrey Epstein and the pedophile elite? They had entire Ukraine operations that was designed to get Ukrainian children into this child trafficking ring. We just scratching the surface, fam. Every single one of these humanitarian organizations that the United States supported, they was essentially child sex trafficking operations. so they can go to disenfranchised areas where the global elite plan to destabilize. And they said, oh, the destabilization of Ukraine, it'd be great for our operation. We'll get to that here soon. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm just giving you guys a preview of what we have for this stream and throughout the course of this week. Because it was a lot of work preparing this and reading everything in it. Bro, humanity cannot go on like normal. It literally cannot. And it's great to see the amount of people who admit that was wrong. There are a lot of people who are like, man, I used to think people was crazy. No, I'm break everything the government said on question. Like, this is a new great awakening. I really hope this doesn't become a nothing burger. But I think the reaction of this is different. And this shit's not going away anytime soon. You guys think I'm going to let any of these Trump supporters off the hook for supporting a pedophile? You guys think we're going to let them off the hook for supporting a pedophile protection movement? Yeah, DPRK. Extremely justified, vindicated, and based. Things absolutely cannot go the same. Yeah, motherfuckers like, oh, how will this affect the midterm? Fuck you in your midterm, fam. What are you talking about? Yeah, I'm going to get to all these receipts hopefully here soon. Let me read some super chats. The Ukraine segment, I definitely will get to today, 100%. Yo, Nick, as a commie, I noticed this issue where people who consider themselves to be anti-Israel and pro-Palestine but hate socialism and communism and think it's a Zio conspiracy and the Bolsheviks were monsters. What's your pushback? you know what extremely funny? Like, there were right-wingers I was arguing with. They were like, don't you know that Hitler and the Nazis were actually socialists? And then within the same breath, they will say, don't you know that socialism is a Jewish conspiracy theory? Don't you know that socialism is a Jewish conspiracy theory? So these people have, at the same thought, they said Hitler is actually a communist, but also communism is also Jewish. You guys realize that those two thoughts cannot exist at once, right? Either Hitler was a fucking communist or communism is a Jewish plot. You guys see how they have no arguments against the merits of class war and the principle of class war. Because communism, like Jody Brower said, is the ideology of the working class. It's the ideology of class war, the ideology of holding the criminal ruling class accountable. So how can you pick apart such an ideology? The only thing you can do is just lie about it. That's the only thing you can do. And that's what they do. And that's essentially, I guess the best you can do is mock them using humor, like I just did. Is Hitler a communist? Is the Nazi Party socialist? Or is socialism a Jewish plot? Which one is it? Like, it always alternates based on what they want their audience to believe. But yeah, anti-communism is thick in the West, and you hear a lot of this nonsense repeated. And the anti-communism in the West is what directly enabled all of this depravity. It should not happen in China. The weakness on class war and the lack of skepticism from people who are deemed to be the elite. Anti-communism as a culture, ideology, and practice has failed us. Yeah, I'm scratching the surface of the hypocrisy. I just came on that. That's the top of my head. Like, there's so many hypocrisies and layers of their hypocrisy that they can't even begin to explain. All right, let's what's some other? Then we get a lot of super. I appreciate the support, guys. In my lifetime, the crimes of America have been systemic, constant, vicious, and remorseless. And I am of the belief that this is nothing new. This is nothing new. There was mass rapes of Vietnamese women, of Korean women by the United States. There was people sent to Iraq, the United States soldiers who engaged in mass sexual assault. This is Western culture. This is Western society. Now do you guys know why I'm tanky as fuck? Now do you guys see why I unapologetically root for the enemies of these pedophiles? I unapologetically want Putin and Xi Jinping to destroy these motherfuckers. Unapologetically. And I feel like we've been vindicated. Used donations to fund a coup that owns some amount. So have offer a real local soldiers, make money and use it to bolster donation impact and sales. Only redistributing keeps us economically weak. Thank you for the super chat, Sparky. This is war. We need resources and we are poor. We can't donate everything. That's why every single revolution, we have the support of class traders. And we do. And that's if you can't be actively involved. That's why I tell people everyone who donated politicians, like there's money. Like people donate to politicians, they give them to celebrities, they donate to Zoran Mamdani's campaign. Like, bro, we got the resources. People just don't know how to use them. Like, you guys realize that we spent, the working class spent $400 million on the Bernie Sanders campaign. And people wonder why I'm principally against this shit. People like, Nick, it's not a bad thing that we supported Zoran. Fam, Zoran Mamdani had to put out an advertisement begging people to stop donating to him. You guys remember that? How much money did AOC and them raise? AOC was known as a master fundraiser. So please don't gaslight us, Sparky. Like, the resources are there. It is the American left has been misled by mismanagers and reformists, and we wasted our potential. If anything, you can make the argument that America is uniquely built for revolution because how armed we are as a country, and the fact that we are a global reserve currency, that we have the working class that actually have resources. So I don't like the nihilism on that super chat. Like, hopefully I didn't read that wrong. But I 100% believe that now is the time not to get too down on nihilism. Now it's time to get to work. Now you should be motivated. I tell you guys, I'm trying. My plan, I want to get a militia started. I don't know how we got to do this, but it needs to be done. Because despite everything that we showed you guys, now we can get back to some more receipts. We are still just scratching the surface. Because I mentioned earlier how the media misrepresented this story by making it just about teenage predation, which was a big part of it. But remember how there were some people like Megyn Kelly, Nick Fuentes, who was exposed as an op. Nick Fuentes like, oh, nothing wrong with liking them young, barely legal. And they were trying to use the whole barely legal thing to kind of downplay how just depraved this is. And Jeffrey Epstein in the capitalist class, they're so evil that they kept the pedophilia. Everything that we're going to show you today, they talked about via email, fam. These are things that they didn't view as being acts so evil that they had to protect it. It's the same way with Donald Trump releasing these files. Like, if this is what they choose to release, imagine what they're hiding. That's what a lot of people are bringing up. But now look at what Jeffrey Epstein says here, where they were asking about the influence they have over Assad. And Jeffrey Epstein says, that's not for email. What? So essentially they have things that like they wouldn't even talk about via email. So what we're even bringing up today is just scratching the surface. So here's the receipt I mentioned earlier, and one of the reasons why we need working class militias, because our capitalist class are gangsters and murderers who literally will kill anyone who gets in their way and exposes their operation. This is the gangsterism and the raw violence I believe the media class is openly trying to hide. And when you listen to corporate media about this now, they're making it all about personalities instead of what was actually in the file and the implications of it. Trump admitted to disappearing a 12-year-old girl and threatened to disappear another and kill their family. And fam, this is not a tip. This was from a sworn testimony. If they was willing to release this, imagine what they was hiding. So in a sworn testimony where they declare, they promise this is true under the penalty of perjury. So who do you believe, Donald Trump and the rapist pedophile elite, or someone who is willing to risk it all to expose these people under the penalty of perjury? So Donald Trump is a mob boss. Like this guy said, he's just like a mob boss. So everything they say about their enemies, you should apply to them because they accuse Nicolas Maduro of being a mob boss. Remember how that's their go-to to them? It's like, how can we convince our people to hate the country that we plan on going to war with? Oh, I have an idea. Let's accuse them of doing the shit we're doing. You're a genius. And look at this. This shows how these people operate. I think this should be a gigantic revelation on how the ruling class operates. This person gives the sender of this email giving Jeffrey Epstein the permission to kill. Oh, so they revealed this guy. I'm sorry. I think I read it out of order. Here it is. This is the email I meant to read first. Here it is. I give you permission to kill him. He is apparently with redacted. He lied to you and lied to me. They send it to Jeffrey Epstein. So they talk about, you see how they just casually talking about people who should be murdered? And this is the tweet I saw first on accident. The sender of this email giving Jeffrey Epstein permission to kill him appears to be Susan Hamblin, a financial advisor and founder of the adoption agency Kids for Families. Bro, what? You have these giant capitalist adoption agencies that they on email terms with Jeffrey Epstein. And what does that even mean, bro? And I sent out a tweet like, bro, how the fuck are you going to redact this? Doesn't that show that Donald Trump and his administration, like this guy, as this guy says, this name should not be redacted in the Epstein files. Why the fuck are they redacting this? Why are they redacting the photo of the guy who received torture videos? He like, the guy who said, I love torture videos. They redacted that. Like, I'm going to show you guys that again. Here it is. You guys see? I love the torture video. Why would they redact that? Trump is protecting his friends. And that forced other people to do investigations on who that is. Same with this one. Where they were talking about just killing their ops. So the violence and the murder and the way they operate with impunity. So who covers up these murders? So they know they have people on the inside of DOJ, of FBI, CIA, who would never actually do anything about this. In fact, I said on the last stream that the FBI was clearly taking tips from people who snitched on Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein, and then informing Maxwell and Epstein of the people who told on them. So how does Donald Trump brag about how they killed someone who exposed his rapist connection with Jeffrey Epstein? So how do they know? How would they know if someone went to the feds? And that's why there's a lawsuit against the FBI right now where people are suing them because they received so many tips from Jeffrey Epstein where they did not follow up on it. So I believe not only did they fail to follow up on these tips, they actively worked with the Epstein apparatus in order to hunt down people who didn't follow Maxwell's and Epstein threats to not report on them. And by the way, there are still there are hundreds of videos of people who have been killed, of death. I'll let him say it himself. This is the Deputy Attorney General.
Any depiction of CSAM or child pornography was obviously excluded. Anything that would jeopardize an active federal investigation. And finally, anything that depicts or contain images of death, physical abuse, or injury, also not produced.
So you're telling me that the FBI had evidence of murders committed by Epstein and his clientele, potentially of them on video? Meanwhile, they still haven't arrested anybody. This is my good best friend, Johnny Gross. These clowns have images of death and they still haven't arrested anyone. So you guys see how this is all about protecting their pedophile friends in the elite class? I truly hope not, man. China, after their century of humiliation, their people fought and they got themselves out of the darkness. After being victims of the rape of Nanking, the massive war crimes committed by Imperial Japan, the crimes committed to them by the UK government, the Opium Wars, and God knows how much I'm missing. The feudal lords that enslaved the Chinese peasants. There was so much evil and darkness in China just 100 years ago. You guys realize that, right? And then a based hero of the name of Mao changed everything. And the West and liberals will never forgive Mao for killing the violent warlords. He killed all the evil feudal lords that carved up and divided China and was directly involved in decreasing the quality of life of their people. And by doing so, he united clans in China, and he dragged, and I'm saying him, but it was the entire revolution. Mao is directly responsible for dragging China out of the darkness. And Mao, who is probably the greatest human to ever live, at least one of the top, he is directly responsible for the brilliant society known as China, where Chinese people are enthusiastic about the future. There's no sex criminal cabals. Their billionaires are being executed. And that was all started by Mao. So it's time for us to wake up. Soft men created hard times. So it's time for us hard men to create good times for the future generations. We got to make sacrifices to bring humanity out of the darkness. I'm willing to do it. And my frustration, and the reason why I am considered a fringe, is because I've been ready to do something about it. I've been done with electoral politics. I've been for forming our own government. I've been understanding the evil of the capitalist class. But it's time for us to get to work and bring humanity out of the darkness. This is a great point by Zoya. Ruling class represents the smallest minority on earth. People are cooperative and loving. The average person they're hardworking. They love their family. They love their community. The average person is doing what they can to survive, while the ruling class is engaging in blood, sacrifice, and torture. We are not like them. They are deeply evil and they are deeply disturbed. And these Epstein files are so crazy. I don't know how anyone can ever go back to watching like TVs and movie shows. I told you guys before, I've been done with that shit. What is happening in real life is way more interesting than anything that Hollywood, Disney, any of these motherfuckers can come up with. Reality is way more interesting than fiction. Because what was going on with Epstein is literally a plot from Grand Theft Auto 5. Look at this. So there was people in our government that saw what Epstein and the ruling class elite was doing, and they was like, bro, what the fuck? This is crazy. Maybe we should investigate this. So the people within the government who was investigating Epstein, they was also murdered by the Epstein Mossad elite. So there will be like these random people in the government who actually have the conscience. They was murdered by their own government. Look at this crazy revelation in the Epstein files. There was an American judge. There was a Mexican judge that was shot to protect the Epstein child sex trafficking ring. And there was 7 FBI agents that was also shot while investigating Epstein. Look, 2 FBI agents killed by quote-unquote white Americans in Mexico while investigating Epstein pedophile ring. Bro, what? We had 4 armed attacks against us. So they had they had waves. It wasn't like one lone gunman. There were 4 attacks against them. So there was FBI agents investigating Epstein, and then it was being attacked by their own intelligence agencies in our United States government. Fam, this is the plot from GTA 5. I explained this on the show a while ago, how GTA 5 had a low-key leftist storyline and writing. I don't know if you guys remember, but Trevor, he was explaining how the United States government uses torture not to extract information, but to engage in as an act of terror and for their own enjoyment. They had so many skits making fun of Fox News. They had so many skits making fun of politicians. And they openly talk about the corruption of the intelligence agencies. In GTA 5, if you're not a gamer, they had the FIB, the fictionalized FBI. And I don't remember what they called their CIA. I don't remember. They have an FBI and they had a CIA. And a giant plot point is the GTA FIB and the CIA was fighting against each other. you was working on behalf of one agency, killing the other agency because they had dirt on you. Fam, what we seen in GTA 5 is straight up fucking real life. Literally what happened. You can't make this shit up. Let's see, man. We literally still just getting started with this. So I think I can end this part of the show with this segment. Real life GTA 5. We got intelligence agencies. The IAA, yeah, that's the fake CI from GTA. You had the IAA versus the FIB, and the FIB are the people who was working with Michael Townley, the main character. They end up entrapping him and they end up killing all these people. Anyway, that's a whole nother story. Let's get. I guess I'm gonna read some more super chats, and then I got some more receipts to get to. Their system requires that they abdicate the truth and make folk disappear. Thank you, Kevin, for that super chat. Thank you for $10. Saying it's war, so we have to treat it like it and secure our source of supplies. Oh, this is a great super chat. I see what he's saying now. Saying it's war, so we have to treat it like it and secure a source of supplies outside of just donations. So I think it was Sparky. I'm not gaslighting, but we can't save all these mistaken types donating to the wrong place. We can build our own economic base with co-ops and owning real tour services. We can then donate. Yeah, this is what I was saying, Sparky. I hear you, bro. All I'm saying is now is the time for us to act. Are we just gonna be paralyzed with fear and anxiety about what's to come? Bro, we are ruled by a group of pedophilic capitalists. Bro, the American Revolution was started for less than that. I mean, people rebelled against their government for way less than what has been revealed to the American populace. And that's why they wanted to project an aura of American exceptionalism to the American people. They wanted to present the falsehood that the average American lives better than people around the world, so they'd be more likely to want to conserve this society that has no value in conserving. They'd be, oh man, America's the best, America and USA. No, America is a shithole where most people are fucking depressed and can't live without antidepressants. Millions homeless, a pedophile elite that's completely unaccounted for, people wages being stolen, labor being manipulated and taken advantage of. There's no social cohesion. The United States is a shithole, but people want to conserve it for some reason. This is not a country worth conserving anymore. This should serve as a grand awakening. Aaron Swartz, a big contributor to Reddit and information rights activist. Yeah, that make the Ghislaine connection makes you think. Yep, it actually does. I think I caught up on super chats. So let me make sure I didn't miss any. I'm taking these short breaks before. Yeah, I would not be dying for Israel. I'd be down to die to try to take out these pedophile capitalists, though. No war but class war, my friends. Speaking of Poland, let's get to that part next, and then we'll cover Putin, because I think this part right here is extremely fascinating to me, and I feel extremely vindicated, because what have I been telling people ever since I've been started as a citizen journalist, talking about politics, being a communicator? I was telling people how the ruling class uses culture wars as a way to divide the working class and as a mechanism of maintaining their power. So there was harsh radicalizations of the Gen Z right because of the rise of poll, and a lot of younger millennials got into poll. I remember following this closely back in the day. This essentially was a Nazi forum where you see all sorts of racist memes, a lot of horrible videos, torture. It's like 4chan was always known as like a blight on humanity, like a dark place of the internet. And now it's been confirmed that that's essentially was manufactured by the Epstein elite, and we can only theorize about why they did that. What did they want to desensitize the American people to the crimes and the kind of violence that they was complicit with spreading? I think it's also another simple explanation of after the 2008 financial crisis, and many people was radicalized and they saw that our capitalist system was fraudulent. There was many people who was like, man, what can we do to solve this? So you had the Jewish supremacist capitalist elite then created Pole and did everything they can to invest to pour poor white people outside of class war. They wanted to distract poor white people and present the idea that immigrants are their enemies, that black people are their enemies, to distrust the other. That was the whole point of what Pole was. And now it is being revealed that shit was an op the entire time. And that should have been obvious. I was thinking like, man, there's no way this shit is not. It doesn't have ties to intelligence services. Then there was actually leaks that I covered maybe a year or so ago that revealed that 4chan and Pole, like 50% of the accounts came from Israel. I didn't have it said. Let me wonder if I can find that. Israel Pole account. Man, I wish I could find this damn, because it was exposed how there was a hacker that checked. Is this it? I don't know. This is the exact receipt. So you have, yeah, it was last year. I'm ad blocked out this one. 4chan was hacked. I'm trying to find it now. I remember a report on this. So 4chan was hacked. It will show like 50% of the people from 4chan was Israelis. Yeah, our entire whole country is a psyop. You guys have no idea. And I'm still just scratching the surface. I'm an hour in. So 4chan was an Israeli op. And it was manipulated by Jeffrey Epstein. So the entire far right in this country, like communists have told you, the Tankies was proven right once again. We told you that these new Nazis are youthful idiots of the ruling class. Because the ruling class would rather have little Nazis running around than little communists. You understand me? They'd rather have little Nick Fuentes running around instead of little Malcolm X's. They don't want little Kwame Torres running around. They don't want little Fred Hamptons running around. But they're 100% okay with Nick Fuentes. And if you guys don't know, I explained before how Nick Fuentes, he's not an intellectual. You can predict every political position that Nick Fuentes is going to take based on what is said on poll, on 4chan. Nick Fuentes took arguments from 4chan and essentially explained it using his charisma. And I'm saying that because apparently he has like a charisma to attract white people and attract people to listen to him. That's undeniable. He's a great public speaker, very charismatic to some. Yeah, he was raised on 4chan. His entire politics come directly from 4chan. And people have been vindicated. Like the entire Marxist critique of Nick Fuentes have been completely legitimized. Look at this. So you had Poll that was a psyop. Pizzagate was real. Epstein was a random anon. Ghislaine was a Reddit supermod. The entirety of the internet was controlled by the pedophile capitalist elite. And the people on 4chan and on Poll, and the people who was radicalized into hating immigrants, these people who were radicalized into thinking immigrants are their enemies, that black people are their enemies. And there have been a lot of screenshots from Poll and just monitoring these people's reaction. Like, this was sent on my birthday as people was going through these Epstein files. Look, I spent the last few years of my life defending pedophiles, Trump raped kids, Elon raped kids. My retard liberal friends were right. I feel like a fucking moron. Well, you are a fucking moron because it wasn't your liberal friends. The liberal friends was the one that was saying this was a conspiracy theorist. Are you willing to admit that the Tankies was right the entire time? So there are a lot of people going through an existential crisis right now, and they should. They should be going through an existential crisis. Everything that they knew, their entire ideology has been exposed as fake, as a way to maintain the power of the elite capitalist cabal. All right, and with that, I think we're on page 2 now. We didn't look. I think we should now get on page 2, but we're just scratching the surface, my friends. I'm explaining in general what is in files because there's no way I can show you guys every single fucking screenshot in a 2-hour stream. So I hope you guys are enjoying this. I hope you guys are getting somewhat informed if you haven't been following this about the general expose of the files. Essentially, it is way worse than any of us thought. I knew that all this stuff was plausible, but of course, I couldn't exactly outline the shit. I had no idea that they kidnapped women, trained them to incubate babies for them. Fam, no one could have predicted this shit. And I told you guys, I'm a conspiracy theorist enthusiast. I'm unapologetically a conspiracy theorist. And now if you're not, you are low IQ. If you're still not a full-blown conspiracy theorist, after all the conspiracy theorists in my lifetime have just been vindicated, you are fucking out of your damn mind. We are listening to the right, Nick, yeah. Now you guys see why people like all these fucking feds, all these people are anti-communists. You guys see why these people avoid me like the plague. Fuentes says Epstein had Otto and it's gay to ask a girl your age. Yeah. I didn't have time to do a segment on that, but Fuentes was like, Epstein is cool, man. Wonder if I can find it. You know, I'm gonna just suck and say, I think Epstein is cool. This boy is an op, man. We've been saying he's an op. Oh wait, I did find it. Did I actually find it? Look at this. Look at this shit. You telling me this man is not? There's a reason why he's one of the most watched streamers in politics. You guys think you pull the numbers that Nick Fuentes does on accident? You guys see how my channel is suppressed? Do you guys think I'm a bad political commentator? I'm still under 10K. You guys think that they don't promote these fucking idiots for a certain reason? The same way that Hassan Piker is promoted because he tells people to vote for Democrat every 4 years. The same way they promote Kyle Kalinske because he tells you to vote Democrat. And I explained on Twitter, I have viral tweets explaining how Nick Fuentes is an op to take poor white people and convince them not to engage in class war, but to organize based on race, which has been proven to be a historic failure. And Nick Fuentes also exists to create an entire generation of loser men who accomplish nothing in their life and who hate women. Why? Because it's easier to sell antidepressants to these people. It's easier for these people to get hooked on porn because they're virgin losers who despise women. Like Nick Fuentes, he plays a very important role for the ruling class. And I have tweets ratioing him and his supporters over and over again, calling him out. But you notice how Nick Fuentes, he will never say my name. He'll call out Hassan Piker. He'll call out all these other leftists. But he will, bro, you don't want that heat, fam. Because I know exactly who you are. I don't even buy the legit, I don't even accept the premise of your arguments. I know what you're here for. So here's the op, Nick Fuentes, who got his entire politics from 4chan that was started by the Jeffrey Epstein elite.
Sometimes you got to be the villain. Epstein's my boy, dude. Let's just be honest. Epstein was cool as fuck. There, I said it. What are you going to do? Go ahead, cancel me. Yeah, I said it. Jeffrey Epstein was cool as fuck. Now what? Go ahead, cancel me. Do it. So sometimes we have to be the villain. Sometimes we have to be on a villain arc. That's okay. I'll be a little unpopular. I've been unpopular before. I like it better. Sometimes
you guys see how confident he is that the ruling class will always have his back, that he will always be promoted in the algorithm. Remember, Jeffrey, you had Nick Fuentes, big Jeffrey Epstein fan. He was there on January 6th, and he told them to storm the gates. He demanded that they storm the gate and get violent at January 6th, and they arrested a bunch of drunk rednecks, but didn't arrest him. And then, don't you know that Nick Fuentes was debanked? You mean when after he received $500,000 from some French crypto billionaire that they never explained? The funniest thing is, like, Nick Fuentes, they pretend that white people black people have low IQ, but they unironically, their entire politics is one of low IQ. To fall for Nick Fuentes is the height of being low IQ. So isn't that funny that they always play racial IQ? And they promote that when they're the lowest IQ motherfuckers in politics. Isn't that interesting? Yeah, Officer Fuentes. And the chat moves so fast. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. I'm trying to read some chats, but man, it's hard. Maybe I should take a break for some super chats. Oh yeah, let's Oh yeah, we're gonna get to the next segment. We're gonna get to the foreign policy angle of this. Bro, I had so many receipts, and I was working on this show for so long. I literally had this shit broken down. I was like, bro, I gotta break this shit down in different parts. And I'm not even gonna get to everything today. I'm definitely gonna get to the foreign policy stuff. Actually, let's read super chats first. But this is another example of tankies, communists being proven right. Nick Fuentes, he wants white people to embrace fascism. Because the same way the capitalist class will always prefer fascism over communism because fascism protects their power. Nick Fuentes wants his poor white followers to embrace that, embrace fascism, reject class war, support the systems of oppression that didn't even benefit them. What does that say? Let me read the super chat. I appreciate all the support tonight, guys. Here's one for Sparky. Everyone needs to learn about Shade's rebellion. Even the founding myth of our country was shown as false less than 10 years in. We are Constitution number 2 right now, and it's so they can oppress us better. Thank you for the super chats today, Sparky. Jerry Seinfeld be like, why is this 17-year-old be Seinfeld, hardcore Zionist, genocide enthusiast. Now do you guys see why the photos of all the dead kids in Gaza didn't affect any of these Jewish supremacists? All these people who was part of these blood sacrifice rituals, they like, bro, this shit, what we see in Gaza, we do this shit all the time. God knows what fucking Jerry Seinfeld has done. All right, what else though? Let me see. What any other comments I miss here? All right, I want to make sure I just don't want to fall behind too much. All right, let's get to the foreign policy part of this. So we was vindicated. We all knew, and there was a lot of evidence that Epstein was a Mossad op, and that was the Epstein files revealed. They openly joked about being part of the Mossad, and this is what Natalie Bennett tweeted out last year when it was first confirmed last year that this boy had Mossad connections. And do you guys remember this tweet? We're gonna start here. Remember when he said, as former Israeli prime minister, with the Mossad having reported directly to me, I say with you with 100% certainty, the accusation that Jeffrey Epstein somehow worked for Israel or the Mossad in running a blackmail ring is categorically and totally false. So the second that Natani Bennett sent this tweet, you should have known that it was essentially confirmed that Epstein was part of the Mossad. And that's why I said here, got over 4,000 likes. So I said, thanks for the confirmation that Epstein is part of Mossad. Because guess what? He's part of the fucking Mossad. And they mentioned his Mossad ties. I'm trying to see if I can find this. Here's Jeffrey Epstein in the CIA office. How many people have access to an office in the CIA? Here it is. For everyone that said that Jeffrey Epstein wasn't a Mossad agent, what's this? This is Jeffrey Epstein was represented by Dershowitz. CHS remembered Dershowitz tell Alex Acosta that Epstein belonged to both U.S. and Allied intelligence services. CHS shared phone calls between Dershowitz and Epstein during which he took notes. After these calls, the Mossad would then call Dershowitz to debrief them. Bro, what? Epstein was close to former Prime Minister of Israel, Ehud Barak. We knew that. And trained as a spy under him. Barak believed Netanyahu was a criminal. Saudi Arabia, Israel, and the United Arab Emirates are allied against Qatar, Turkey, Iran, and Syria. One of see this part redacted. One of CHS's. So yeah, they said CHS was convinced that Epstein was a co-opted Mossad agent, and that was Alan Dershowitz even admitted. Let me find some more. ISIL and Al Qaeda are assets of the Mossad. That's been confirmed. Like a lot of these things that leftists have been saying forever. Anti-imperialists have been saying this forever. How many videos have I done on ISIS and Al Qaeda being part of the Mossad? This is great because everything that Tankies and we've been saying are just being vindicated. It's great to have this official. Let's look at this here. So yeah, ISIS and Al Qaeda, they was admitting was part of Mossad. Oh, look at this one. This is Ghislaine Maxwell's dad. You guys know Ghislaine Maxwell's dad, Robert Maxwell, according to Jeffrey Epstein, was taken out by the Mossad because he tried to shake them down for $400 million, or he blowed the lid off all the dirty work he done for them. You guys see how we're just scratching the surface? We will never know the depth of depravity that these people actually got involved with. Look, here's the email. Robert Maxwell threatened the Mossad. So they engage in blackmail against each other. You think he's not blackmailing other people? Let's see if I find some more stuff on the Mossad here. This one confirms that a confidential human source reported to the FBI LA field office that Alan Dershowitz is a Mossad agent in 2020, and that Dersh was the individual who tried to ward the United States Attorney Acosta from investigating Epstein. But he warned them that Epstein is U.S. intel and Mossad. So Jeffrey Epstein, like, hey, bro, stop investigating us. We're part of you. We're part of the system. What are you doing? How can anyone float the idea of reforming this? And despite all this being revealed, like this is a headline from corporate media trying to cope with this. Because of course they haven't been explaining these Mossad connections. They have this headline. The Epstein emails reveal a bygone elite. So they try to pretend that this shit is not going on right now, as if we don't have a current United States president engaged with Epstein, as if the Mossad is not currently running our entire government. Imagine the desperation. And as Alan said, the central characters on this are literally the president and the world's richest businessman. Elon Musk, he's implicated. Bill Gates implicated. But look at the corporate media trying to say, oh, no, this is what we used to do in the past. Bro, the level of gaslighting is insane here. Now you guys see why every single Zionist, and I mean every single one, downplay the Epstein files. Every single one. He was a Mossad asset, and there was a network of Jewish supremacists who was coordinating together in order to engage in the mass trafficking of children. This is when they was having their massive sexual parties. And something that was very revealing in these Epstein files was like how Jeffrey Epstein and his colleagues and friends, how they would talk about non-Jewish people, how they would call them goyim and all this stuff. People said that it was an anti-Semitic conspiracy theorist whenever we said that Jewish people refer to us as goyim, as cattle. Meanwhile, in the Epstein file, I'm trying to make this bigger. They refer to they use the term goyim all the time. They refer to ordinary people as human cattle. He said, is this going to be a 100% Jew night? Is it going to be a 100% Jew night? That's what they, are you going to invite any of the non-Jews into our sex orgies? And then Epstein replied, he said, no goyim in abundance. Oh, sorry, no, I misread that. He said, no goyim in abundance. JP Morgan executives. Now do you guys see why I'm rooting for Putin and Xi Jinping against our pedophile capitalist elite? And Putin warned us. I want to get to the Ukraine part now because I am getting a little long here. I want to at least get to this before we get around the 9-minute mark. I'm gonna get back to the Jewish supremacy part of it, but I want to get to Putin first. So Putin warned us about how the West was involved in massive human trafficking and how they're essentially satanic, engaged in these kind of rituals. Like here's Putin. They're used to filling their bellies for centuries with human flesh and filling their pockets with money. They need to realize that Vampire's Ball is ending. So Vladimir Putin said, bro, I'm not in your goddamn vampire games that you guys playing. And Putin, they won't, and people in the West like, see, this is exactly what we talk about. Putin and Russia always spreading misinformation. Fam, he was right about you guys, and you would never forgive him for it.
В западных элитах очень сильно желание заморозить существующее положение, несправедливое положение вещей в международных делах. Они привыкли столетиями набивать брюхо человеческой плотью, а карманы деньгами. Но они должны понять, что бал вампиров заканчивается.
And people like, there had to be a metaphor, right? Putin's like, nah, that's not a metaphor. These people are actually fucking crazy. So here's the real reason why they can't stand Putin. The real reason why the ruling class wanted to stick their fang into Ukraine. Because Epstein was working directly with the Rothschilds. And I explained earlier on the stream how they had a plan to destabilize governments and entire regions using United States foreign policy and sanctions. Then they would send NGOs and human rights activists who would then do the work of the pedophile capitalist class and the Epstein elite by helping them traffic children out. So after the Maidan coup that the CIA supported, the Rothschilds and Epstein was communicating via email where they said, he said, I miss our talks. Will you be free? Let's discuss Ukraine. And Epstein explained how the Ukraine upheaval should provide many opportunities. Many. It was revealed that Epstein preferred his victims to be young, thin, white, and young as possible, which is why they were trafficking women out of Turkey. And Ukraine was one of the biggest destinations for human trafficking. That was their backyard. Ever since the fall of the Soviet Union, that was their backyard for the pedophile Jeffrey Epstein leak. Because they knew that these kids had no way to defend themselves. They don't know anything about the world. They had they were helpless, being refugees, being people who are victims of war, parents who was like many of these Ukrainian children have parents who was murdered by Nazi scum in Ukraine that was supported by the CIA, and they're like, all right, we have a perfect chance to engage and expand our operations in sex trafficking. And this is from March 4th, 2009. Pedophiles find Ukraine a good place to roam. Bro, what? Okay, so who do you guys want in charge of Ukraine? After seeing all this human trafficking shit, do you want Russia in control of Ukraine, which they're not even asking, or do you want the West? And the insane neocons, they said we need to sacrifice our quality of life. We need to create an energy crisis in Europe. We need to risk nuclear war for the territorial integrity of Ukraine. Now do you guys see why it's so important to them? Because the question that anti-imperialists and people like myself been asking is, why is Ukraine even worth, like, arguments and historical context aside, why is Ukraine even worth starting a nuclear war over? If you're going to be like this hardcore analytical based on pure power politics, how does this benefit us? It benefits them because that's the backyard for their grooming, the pedophile league. That's where they plan on grooming children. And there's just more and more evidence that Ukraine is a child trafficking host. Russia did not kidnap the kids. They saved them. I want to see what Che said. This is our friend Che Boyles. This article is 17 years old. Basket case post-Soviet Union became a playground for child hunters. Now do you guys see why I've been saying the fall of the Soviet Union has been one of the most devastating modern events? I would say probably one of the most devastating events in human history. There were so many children that were screwed the day the Soviet Union fell. There were so many revolutionary movements that was immediately squashed. There was so much human suffering that came after the fall of the Soviet Union, which is, you see how disturbed and mentally deranged the West and liberals are, because they would celebrate. Remember, they would have days where they celebrate, like this marks the 10th year, this marks the 30th year of the fall of the Soviet Union. Yay, this is a great thing. Bro, they are cheering for a situation that created so much suffering and opened up so many markets for human traffickers. Here's another good tweet. Many pro-Ukraine people will not like hearing this, but there was a very serious issue with child abuse and trafficking in Ukraine. We know that there are huge links between Epstein and Ukraine. There was it's been widely reported that there was a systemic abuse of Ukrainian children in orphanages. In orphanages. Look, the exploitation and abuse of children in Ukraine orphanages. This is what they've been reporting on forever. We all know that Ukraine was ranked as one of the most corrupt countries in Europe. And he also had close ties to Zelensky. I'm going to read it. This is from Friends DD Geopolitics. Epstein was grooming girls in the Donbass in Ukraine for intel operations. These messages are from May 2019, weeks after Zelensky's election. The girl is from Admavok, I don't know how to say that, in the Donetsk region. He starts with Little Prince, a children's novella about love, loneliness, and taming. The book's central message: you become responsible forever for what you have tamed. He sends her an image of the quote, then explains that tamed really means accepting the wildness and writing it. A 66-year-old convicted sex trafficker explained to young women from a war zone how he plans to tame her, using a children's book as reference. He even offers to pay for her education if she leaves her relationship. So this person who was a convicted sex trafficker was operating in Ukraine. The Rothschilds were operating in Ukraine. Let me see if I can find this other receipt. Here's the one I was looking for, where Zelensky was asking for help from Epstein. It says Ukraine is looking for advice, not sure where to start. Look, Zelensky looking for help. And then Vladimir Putin, he said Vladimir Putin is dismissive, saying that he is run by the Israelis. So Vladimir Putin, according to this document, referred to Zelensky as an Israeli puppet. Base Vladimir Putin. So Zelensky, Epstein, closely connected. Ukraine, one of the capitals of child sex trafficking. And then Putin evacuated Ukrainian children whose parents were victims of the fascism and violence of the Ukrainian regime. He did what is standard practice in war, setting up children to be adopted. He set up adoptive services for Ukrainian children, essentially saving them from being a victim of the child sex trafficking ring. And because of that, and because people were furious in the West that he did that, the ICC charged him with a war crime over that. And we explained how that's an absolutely absurd thing to do, because they accused Putin of war crimes for relocating children. There have been instances of the United States doing that. In Iraq, Afghanistan, it's very standard practice for war. So if you are Russia and you liberate the Donbass, the Luhansk, and eastern Ukraine, and there are children who was orphaned by the Ukrainian regime, what do you do? Do you leave them to die? That never has been done in war. If you are the occupying power, you find parents and you find households for these children. And they say, oh, don't you know that Putin is kidnapping Ukrainian children, bullshit. And by the way, do you guys know why they charged Putin with that? The reason why they charged Putin with this very weird charge of child kidnapping, because if they charged Putin, they couldn't charge Putin with murdering children. There were studies that show that only less than 0.01% of the murders in Ukraine, the people killed, are actually innocent children. Compare that to Israel. So they couldn't convict Putin with literally anything that the Western leaders haven't done themselves. So they found something obscure like protecting Ukrainian children. Now you got to see why he did it. I read this tweet from Zay. After they successfully collapsed the Soviet Union and the Eastern Bloc, Epstein and other Zionist pedophiles massively expanded their child trafficking operations, preying on these now defenseless countries and peoples, and they are mass raping their children and women to this day. Look at this. Raped, abused, and exploited, Ukrainian women seeking refuge in Israel finds no haven. Bro. Why would they send them to Israel of all places? The pedophile capital of the world. They said, you think you're gonna find refuge in Israel? You think how can anyone be surprised at such a headline? This is a receipt I read earlier. Turkey sold thousands of underage children, mainly survivors of the earthquake in 1999, to Jeffrey Epstein's island for $200 million, smuggling them out by private planes. So Turkey played a big part in the Epstein sex trafficking ring. It's an entire ruling class conspiracy. So I think Turkey 100% need to be abolished after their complicity with this. Oh, look at this one. I think we can get to some Jew. I think we're at the Jewish supremacy part now, right? So yeah, Putin saved the Ukrainian children, and they would never forgive him for it. And I feel extremely vindicated. And the NATO left should be embarrassed. The Bernie Sanders, the Dr. Cornel West standing up for Alexei Navalny, AOC, Ilhan Omar, who took photos with the Banderite Nazis, and she said, I stand with Ukraine. People like, we gotta protect Ilhan Omar. Nigga, Ilhan Omar cares way more about the Nazis in Ukraine than you. Cory Bush supported the Nazis in Ukraine. The entirety of left academia and ruling class supported the NATO pedophile regime in them seeking the control of Ukraine as a region so they can have a unaccountable, unlimited source of young women. And Vladimir Putin, like he said before, he's breaking up their vampire party. So this segment here, and maybe the last one today, we're almost 2 hours. Man, we're still just scratching the surface. I covered how they engage in blood sacrifices and rituals, how the FBI and the Mossad was engaging in a civil war, killing each other, GTA 5 style, in order to protect Epstein. We covered how the whole Ukraine conflict was a big. There was another email I found. I wonder if I can find it before I shift, where Epstein was explaining how their plan was to destabilize the world. Oh, man, let me wonder if I can find that. Is this it? Dude, I say almost too many receipts. It was actually very hard. If you guys can't tell, it's very hard to cycle through all this shit by yourself on stream. Hopefully you guys enjoying this. We got good viewership on YouTube right now. Hopefully you guys enjoying this. It's very hard to shift through all this stuff, man. I got so many of these saved. Look, Jeffrey, and I'm reading the description because it will take too much time. I realized midstream it will take way too much time to read every single one of these emails. So I'm going to read the description. You guys can always check them out yourself as well. I'm sure many of you have. Jeffrey Epstein and Palantir's Peter Thiel were discussing a plan that would destabilize Iraq, Iran, Libya, Syria, Palestine, Lebanon, and Egypt. And they said the more of a mess with just lots of bad guys on different sides, the less we will do. They benefit from the world being a mess. He said the strategy was brilliantly executed. I see that in the email. Wow, this is crazy because human traffickers benefit from the destabilization of entire regions. Now, does it make sense on why our ruling class engage in never-ending war? Obviously, we know that wars are racking, they profit from it, but it's actually even more than that. It's more than that. It's all about creating regions that are destabilized. So Epstein and their pedophile elite, because these people, like, imagine if the Gaza Jared Kushner plan is built in reality, and if they're not stopped in Gaza. Like, we covered how Jared Kushner plans to turn Gaza into this resort, and they essentially going to enslave Palestinians and keep them monitored 24/7. I did hotspot videos on that. Check it out. I did segments on the Gaza Jared Kushner plan. Can you guys imagine how many Palestinian girls that they will get and kidnapped from Gaza under U.S. occupation under this proposed plan? They will 100% turn Gaza into a gigantic hub of human trafficking. They're probably doing the same on Syria. I need to search Syria and see if there's more information on Syria. But this is how the neocons operate. Their wars are not designed to benefit you and your family. And anyone who advocates that are deeply unserious. That's the counterpoint I use whenever people accuse me of being an American traitor. I don't know if you guys see like the trolls every once in a while. They be like, Nick, you're a fucking traitor. How can you support Putin? So United States aggression against Putin does not benefit the American working class. The United States engaging in regime change wars all over the world did not benefit the American working class. In supporting the neocons in their regime change operations, it's clear that they are obsessed with doing that to funnel this kind of stuff. It had nothing to do with national security. And anyone who actually believed that, you are a rube of the highest order. All right. So I think I end the foreign policy part on that, man. I feel like there's still so much I'm missing here. But we're almost 2 hours in. I'm like, this is a story of this is probably the story of our lifetime. The war, obviously, the war on terror, the genocide in Gaza, and the Epstein files being released, and the capitalist class being completely exposed. Before I get to my next segment, I do need to take a break because I got one more segment I want to do. I actually don't want to.
Pictures appearing.
Let me take a quick break. I'll put this up because this is as I take a quick break. I'm gonna show this video of the BBC covering Prince Andrew. I'm actually kind of curious on how they're gonna spin this. MSNBC and the corporate media has been making the entire coverage of this unserious. I've been tweeting about this. I was watching their coverage. You guys know I do propaganda reports. I wanted to see how the corporate media is going to react to their entire legitimacy being ruined. And this is an example of one of the shows I saw on MSNBC. You guys see how they're making the entire Epstein files about personalities and characters. And I watched a few of these segments, like, I was thinking, how the fuck are they going to spin this? Every single segment on MSNBC and CNN talking about the Epstein files, they never discuss what's actually in them. They never discuss the child sacrificing, the torture videos, the hit jobs done on the women. You guys see how they make it all about who was in the foul, not about what actually was the contents of the fouls themselves. There was a segment where CNN was like, how will the Epstein files affect the midterm elections? No one gives a shit. Yeah, Zoe, I definitely need a break. I need to take a break. I was about to show this BBC clip. I don't know if you're available, Zoya, but I'm gonna show you guys the clip here while I take a quick break. Not gonna be too long. I just need a minute to get my shit together. Now I'll be back. Actually, we'll see how the BBC is covering this because everything from MSNBC and CNN is almost meant to mislead people even more. What's popping? Zoya's love, Zoya's life. Are you gonna help me? Are you gonna help me get a reprieve here? I'll be back in like a minute or two. Are you there, Zoya? What's popping? Going once, going twice. I also could play this video too if we want to do that. Yeah, check sound.
Up to you. We can start with the video and then I'll take over if you're still gone.
Yeah, I don't think it should take long. I'm gonna play a little bit of the video. Do you have anything you want to add? Do you have anything you want to say? I guess we can you can read super chats if you want. I guess we're just trying this out now. Zoe, helping give me a break here.
Yeah, I knew this.
Do you want to read chats instead? How do you want to do it, Zoe? Do you want to read chats? Super chats?
I'll just do it organically. Go take a break. It's not my first time on the RBN.
Yeah. It won't take too long. It won't take too long. I'll be right back. Zoya's love, Zoya's love. I'll be right back, guys.
Hello, my friends. Hello, my family. Welcome to your new pedophile reality. Honestly, this stuff has been around for a really long time. This isn't new. It's just being revealed now in unprecedented fashion. And just like the genocide in Palestine, that wasn't the first genocide. These imperialists have been colonizing Africa and committing atrocities all over the globe. But this was the first live streamed one. So now it's in our faces, and I'm questioning, and I wonder if you guys are questioning, what are their motives for letting us see these things now? Because this isn't, they're not showing us anything that they don't want us to see. We are, it's still redacted. We don't know everything. This is the tip of the spear. And I wonder what are their motives for revealing this depravity now. Do you guys have any theories, any ideas? The stock market is doing funny things, and there's a lot of different theories going around for what they're trying to distract us from. Or you guys can just tell me how all of you are doing. Remember to hit the like. Remember to share this stream. Remember to organize your communities. Look at the beautiful things that are happening right now nationwide. Of course, it's being suppressed, but they did do strikes. They did shut down businesses. They walked out of schools. They walked out of jobs. And we need that on a massive scale. Leveraging our labor is one of the last resorts we have, and that power is weakening with AI and automation. But as of right now, workers make everything. Every single thing around you is made by workers. If we opt out tomorrow, out of spending, out of working, we can shut this whole system down. We just need to build independent infrastructure to be ready for that moment.
Very well said. I'll read some super chats before I get to our next segment. I feel much better now. Thank you, Zoya. Zoya's love, Zoya's life. Filling for me. Thank you for 499, John. If the release of the latest trove of the Epstein files was by Israel meant to pressure Trump to attack Iran, does that mean he pushed back? We don't know. We don't know if they because I still think there are plans to destabilize and wage war with Iran. It's still ongoing. There are always these like Planet Media reports on Trump plans to attack this weekend, and then whenever he doesn't, people breathe a sigh of relief. Fam, before the war starts, you got to engage in the propaganda. You got to sell the war to your people. You got to do the grunt work. You got to get the tax rate. I still think like with Trump being completely controlled by Israel, it's been confirmed that he's an Israeli asset. We know that he's not going to decline this opportunity to wage war with Iran. I think they're just preparing. I don't think he pushed back at all. That's my response to this pushback. I think they're still trying to figure out how they're going to wage this war with Iran without getting wiped the fuck out. They realize that Israel will be a massive target. United States bases will be a massive target. So I don't think he backed down yet. We are all Palestinian now. Yep. If you guys think that what they did, they're only going to engage in violence against Palestinians. You guys think they drew the line there? They're willing to engage in mass violence against children. Period. Or the Zio cosplaying the protocols of Zion. I think you let the chat here twice. Thank you for the super chat. Wrong spell. Hopefully I didn't miss any. America is becoming Israel, and Israel is becoming America. Yeah, this is what, like, you gotta realize that the Nazis learned from the United States, right? Like, everything that's happening in Israel, Palestine, is obviously horrific, and it's wild to see it on live stream. But they did that to the indigenous. They murdered all the indigenous population. Like, they engaged in these like breeding camps for slaves during the slave era, where they bred black women, sexually assaulted them. Everything that we're seeing now, they engage in medical experiments against black women, experimenting on their vaginas, inserting stuff in them, like the kind of stuff that they have done throughout history. This is not anything new. I think people should need to wake up. Like, we're seeing it being exposed now, but they've continued to do this for generation after generations. And the Nazis, they saw how the United States engaged in genocide against the indigenous population. They saw how they engaged in black codes, and the pre-Holocaust discrimination of the Jews, where they had to wear badges on the stuff. It was inspired by the United States black code system. Led up to the Jim Crow era. All these people are absolutely evil. I want to get. I want to do this segment here. I found this very interesting because we get to see how these people talk about us behind the scenes, and we get to see essentially every single. I gotta be careful how I say this. Essentially, every single anti-Semitic conspiracy theorist was right. Essentially, that's how they control us. Like, whenever we like on their tail, whenever we notice the behavior of the genocidal Jewish supremacists, they smear people as anti-Semites. And to me, it was clear that was a projection. Whenever they say whenever you're two on the money, they immediately, you can't spread the truthhood about Jewish culture, or you're anti-Semite. One of the things that they said was anti-Semitic is claiming, like, we talk about this on channel all the time, how they refer to non-Jews as goyim, and how they view the goyim as non-human. They also often refer to non-Jews as cattle. So what our friend David Miller did, we just had David Miller on not too long ago, right, Zoya? We had David Miller. He was a great guest. And if you look up these two things, Google AI will tell you that these are anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. Look at this. Google Chrome's AI, the idea that Jews call non-Jews cattle is a well-documented anti-Semitic trope with no basis in the literal meaning of the word. So they say it's an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory with no basis in reality. And the cattle myth was promoted in Nazi-era propaganda, which falsely claimed that the Talmud defines non-Jews as animals. Like, they say, you can't say that Jews refer to non-Jews as cattle. that's an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory. Meanwhile, here at Jeffrey Epstein, and if you look at the files and you search Goyim and cattle, there's so many emails. This is what Epstein talked about all the time. Larry didn't look amused to be talking Jew religious issues with a cattle. He said he saw Madonna on the Jew Larry King show. Larry King, who was super fucking boring, now is like, isn't it kind of obvious why he got the job now? Man, I love you guys' comments. Man, I need to read some more comments. Let me try to get through these last few receipts. Let me look at how much we got left. I still got like another page and a half. I'm gonna be back on Wednesday though. Man, there's so much to report on here. All right, let's read this one here. Here's another one. Here's another email from Jeffrey Epstein that if anyone brought this up, you will be smeared as the biggest anti-Semite in the history of the world. How here Jeffrey Epstein admitting that Jewish capitalists rigged the economic system in a way that they benefit, and he explains how we should let the Goyim deal with the real world. Here's a quote. This is the way that the Jew makes money and make a fortune in the past 10 years, selling short on shipping futures. Let the Goyim deal in the real world. So let the ordinary cattle engage in the real work, doing in building, engaging in vital work in building society, providing crucial services to the American population. The same people that are smeared by the capitalist class as being low skilled and low labor, that's why we are justified in not paying them. That's the real world. The people actually engage in the real. So all these Jews, as he mentioning, is economically manipulating markets. Goyim were burned only to serve us. Without that, they have no place, only to serve the people of Israel. This is like, you guys see how it's always like rabbis saying this? Like, whenever you find these quotes, it's not like random motherfuckers saying it. And that's why I'm not attacking like ordinary, like especially our anti-Zionist Jewish brothers and sisters who oppose this. I'm not attacking ordinary Jewish people, guys. When I talk about this kind of stuff, just a heads up, because there are a lot of ordinary Jews who oppose Jewish supremacy. When I criticize Judaism as a religion and as a culture, I do that because I'm looking at the highest ups, like the synagogues. I'm looking at the systemic Jewish culture, and I believe that is utterly rotten. But I'm not looking at every single individual. But we are quoting people who are leaders, like, for example, the chief rabbi of the IDF. He said that he permits wartime rape of non-Jews. So it's not an ordinary person saying that. These are people who are leaders in your community. You have rabbis that was part of the Epstein sex parties. You have these synagogues all over the country who support the genocidal state of Israel. And they openly, and when they talk among each other, that's when you really hear the crazy shit. And I think this post is pretty funny. In 2018 email, Jeffrey Epstein recounts laughing about Jews controlling the world. And this is a conversation they had. They said, at my dinner table, I asked, why are the right-wing guys so anti-Semitic? One said, historically, we all know it's actually been the Jews behind the government actually pulling the strings. And I said, like who? And then they pointed at me. And they all started to roar with laughter. Guilty. Bro, can you imagine how disturbing this scene was? You know the memes of those rich white dudes laughing about how they control the world? This is essentially what they was doing. It was a big ha-ha moment that they think back on all the time. I remember that time we had a laugh about how you actually control world governments and you have prime ministers in your back pocket. Look, they say, look at the end. He said, it was so funny. I wish you was there. It was a great moment with us and the boys talking about how we engage in mass manipulation of media, control governments, have mass sex trafficking rings. It was so funny. I wish you was there. So this is them admitting what we're not supposed to talk about, period. And once again, we're just scratching the surface here. Here's some more here. Apparently, the whole Greek debt crisis was fabricated to save German and French banks. All austerity measures are done to save Northern Europeans who gambled their money. Look, 90% of the payments to Greece actually go to the German and French banks who made risky investments and want to be paid off. So in effect, Greeks are paying the northern banks for debts that the people never incurred. These should, I think, be considered odious debts. Look at this. You guys see how well connected Jeffrey Epstein is? How in the know Epstein is with the pedophile elite class? Once again, we're scratching the surface. Let me read some more chats. Nick, you are right for calling out the crimes that are promoted at the very least in part by religion. Don't be scared don't be scared of shining the light on the truth about nefarious influences on some religions. Absolutely. Yeah, the homie Lee Camp. You guys realize, like, people like Lee Camp, they're anti-Zionist Jews, like, they are allies. And the reason why I am critical of the genocidal Jewish culture is because the anti-Zionist Jews themselves, they will tell us how they are retaliated by their own community. Like the anti-Zionist synagogue in Chicago, which is famous because they're one of the only the only synagogues, the only synagogues that are like unapologetically anti-Zionist. Let me see if I can find. I'm pretty sure I have this article saved. Synagogue, Chicago. Is this it? Yeah, I think this is it. I think this is the article I reference all the time. Like, so NPR wrote this article. Let me pull this up. Lee Camp is a homie. I'm friends with Lee Camp. I love Lee Camp. I'm friends with Max Blumenthal, Aaron Mate. I saw Aaron Mate at the Independent Media Awards not too long ago. He's a homie. I look like we're friends with these people. And the reason why I criticize and go hard on the genocidal Jewish culture is because they are victims of it. How many times have these people explained how they were brainwashed, how they was forced to, as children, they was taught that Palestinians were lesser? These are stories I heard from them. They was playing how how Jewish kids are radicalized, and then the story will always flip when they explain, like, all right, I realized that this shit is crazy, so I started to denounce Zionism and Jewish supremacy. And then whenever they denounced Jewish supremacy, they would then be retaliated by their own people. So I hope you guys realize I'm not attacking our anti-Zionist Jews. I'm defending them. I'm defending them. I'm like, bro, what the fuck is up with this culture where you guys are sanctioned and retaliated against economically? Bro, this anti-Zionist rabbi explained how, like, rabbis who spoke out against the state of Israel and the followers, they will be sanctioned. And apparently I was the only motherfucker who covered this story. I don't know why NPR posted this. NPR posted this story, and I was apparently the only journalist in the world who covered it. And this is why I got the 99.7% number when it came to Jewish synagogues supporting Israel, because that's what the anti-Zionist rabbi said. He said, like, bro, out of all the synagogues in the United States, only around 30 of them are explicitly anti-Zionist at its core. I'm trying to see if I can find that part here. I'm pretty sure this is the article. Here it is. Like this is the part I had a tweet that went viral because I explained this. This is not coming from me. This is the anti-Zionist Jewish rabbi. Rosen estimates there are now some 30, only 30 other anti-Zionist congregations or prayer groups around the country. To them, basic equality and human rights are fundamentally Jewish. So the reason why he knows that, he explains how these anti-Zionist synagogues and prayer groups, they often stay in contact with each other. So they all know who's anti-Zionist, who's not anti-Zionist. And the consequences of being anti-Zionist is being retaliated by other genocidal Jewish supremacists. I'm skimming through this article so I find my sources here. Explain the resistance here. I'm gonna read this part. A minority among Jews 3 years ago. Do you guys know how to say this? Zydek, Chicago, became explicitly anti-Zionist, meaning it does not support a Jewish state. The views is at odds with the vast majority of American Jews. According to 2021 survey by the Pew Research Center, 80% of American Jews say caring about Israel is an important part or essential part of what being Jewish means to them. So why can't we bring up the fact that that's a problem? And that's the one thing that anti-Zionist Jews do. God bless their hearts. God bless their heart. One thing that anti-Zionist Jews do that kind of annoy me is they tend to overstate how many people in their community oppose Israel. Like, Jewish Voice for Peace, they do great work. They do good work. But they do this shit all the time. They're like, don't you know Jews stand against Israel? The majority of Jews are against the Israeli state. That is not true. Like, I try not to step on their toes, especially in the middle of it, because I'm like, yeah, go get their ass. You know what I mean? Go get them. Go get the Zionists. And I understand the strategy of what they're doing, but that is not true. Like, the idea that there's like this big section of the Jewish population who is opposing Israel, opposing the synagogues, and they're raising a resistance against Zionism. That's just not the case. And I'm saying that as someone, as I said, time and time again, I appreciate anti-Zionist Jews. I view them as our allies, but I don't like when they do this shit, when they pretend that there's way more people in the Jewish community that oppose Israel. That is not true. Look, most American Jewish congregations say a prayer for the state of Israel every Shabbat. Some proudly display the Israeli flag in their sanctuaries. They raise money to support Israel. Jewish synagogues raised $850 million in like 1 year. This is like, what is that date? Yeah, that was like a 2-year project. In 2 years, they raised $850 million. Since the start of October 7th, according to the Jewish Federation of North America. So you have all these institutions who are like the Jewish Federation of North America, and God knows how many others, the World Jewish Congress. You have 99% synagogue supportive of the state of Israel. But then anti-Zionist Jews are like, don't you know that a lot of Jews are against Zionism? No, nigga, you talking about you. I'm glad that you are, but stop lying to people. Like, that's the only advice I've got to anti-Zionist Jews. Stop lying to people about how many people in your guys' community is opposed to Israel. Like, you can say that there's a large amount of young Jewish people, because it is true. Young Jewish people are more likely to reject this. But stop saying and stop alluding to the idea that there's like some sort of Jewish resistance to Zionism as a organized principle. There's not. All these people talk exactly the way Jeffrey Epstein talks in their emails when they are by themselves. Let me continue. To the congregation, support for Israel is almost a religious tenet of American Judaism. Those who reject that tenet risk being cast out. Damn, I'm tired. Those who reject that tenet risk being cast out. So he's explaining how if you oppose Zionism, you will be. This is the part I was looking for. I couldn't find it. You will be retaliated by your community. You will be retaliated by the Jewish community if you oppose Zionism as a tenet. He explained. Look at this. Tzedek Chicago members talked about relatives who would no longer speak to them. Bro, so the same anti-Zionist Jews who are resistant, I tell them straight up, like, you need to cut off your Zionist family members. And they'll say, oh, we can't do that, man. They're family. We can't cut off our family members, man. We can't cut off our genocidal family members. Nigga, meanwhile, they are cutting you guys off. Look, they talk about family members who won't talk to them. They are being fired or having to quit under pressure from previous jobs at Jewish organizations. And Rosen himself was kicked off the Chicago Board of Rabbis. Fealty to Israel is ingrained in American Jewish culture. Fam, this is not a Gray Zone article. This is not anything radical. This is an article from NPR. The only difference is, apparently, I was the only citizen journalist who actually reported on this. So the only reason I'm bringing this up, because I'm here to let you guys know that when I criticize Jewish culture, I'm not going after anti-Zionist Jews. I'm defending them because they are victims of massive retaliations by the Zionist mob. All right, let's see. The Gray Zone all supported Biden. Did Matt Blumenthal support Biden? I know Aaron Mate tend to take the lesser two evils approach in voting. Let's look at some chats. We're over 2 hours in. Oh, yeah, I want to go to hospital. Hospital had a lot of great reporting on. Yeah, let's read some super chats. I'm working on some more guests who can break down with us here. This is the receipt I was playing earlier. Jeffrey Epstein admits, look at this. Jeffrey Epstein admits that Jews don't do real work and only make money using financial manipulation. Bro, these messages are blowing up. Aaron was detached when talking about Biden. I think I'm gonna read some more super chats. I think we're getting near the end here. Aaron Mate is defending Chomsky still after all the rev. Oh, come on, man. I was going to do a statement on Chomsky, but I was running out of time. But here's what a lot of people are talking about. Let me see if I can find the receipt. Here it is. Noam Chomsky assured billionaire pedophile Jeffrey Epstein that Venezuela under the Bolivian Revolution wasn't remotely like socialism. You guys see how all the anti-communists, all the Western chauvinists, they are all part of Epstein pedophile cabal. Nicolas Maduro's not. Hugo Chavez is not. I want to see if I can find. There's one with Noam Chomsky where he was giving advice on how to. Let me show. I think I'm trying to find it. I got too many receipts here. Oh yeah, this is why Noam Chomsky exists. Oh yeah, I like this video. This is a great video from Kabate. Probably the foundational Chomsky psyop. At the height of the Cold War, from Pentagon-funded office at MIT, They teach the Western left to reflectively reject the Soviet experiment, the industrialization of a feudal country. That's no people who are anti-Soviet Union and never acknowledge that the fact that the Soviet Union took a country full of poor peasants that was considered a joke and turned it into an industrial powerhouse. They have full employment, free healthcare, free education, guaranteed housing, and the first human in space. But Noam Chomsky in the Western left, the Democratic Socialist DSA left, was here to convince Americans not to achieve and not to celebrate this massive victory for socialism in the left. But let me continue this tweet. So the Soviet Union, he explains, achieved all this stuff: free healthcare, free education, guaranteed housing, and they achieve it all under invasion. They're encircled by the West. They're sabotaged by the West. They're under financial war against the West, but despite that, they still accomplish all these things for the people. But despite that, Noam Chomsky constantly shits on the Soviet Union and their version of socialism. And this is why he was friends with Epstein in the pedophile league. This is why he's part of the elite academic class, because he was there to provide an alternative and to distract the Western left from people like Kwame Ture. To lead people away from people like Michael Parenti. My friends, embrace Kwame Ture, embrace Michael Parenti, reject his anti-communist.
Lenin was a right-wing deviation of the socialist movement, and he was so regarded. He was regarded as that by the Marxists, by the mainstream Marxists. Then Lenin took power in October 1917 in what's called a revolution, but in my view ought to be called a coup. When he took power, he reverted to the former vanguardism and moved at once to eliminate the organs of workers' control. Now that meant he was moving to destroy socialism. Lenin reconstructed the czarist systems of oppression often more efficiently, Cheka, KGB, and other techniques of control and oppression. I think from that point on, there was nothing remotely like socialism in the Soviet Union. I think it was, in fact, in my view, it was a precursor of later forms of totalitarianism.
The Marxism was associated.
You know how they always say, whenever they talk about communist success, they always bring up authoritarianism. And yeah, this is another good point. A lot of its critiques, a lot of its critique of the West is based on anti-Soviet tropes. But you gotta see how he like it. The only thing you guys accomplish with authoritarianism. Hey man, I 100% support authoritarianism against the capitalist class. If me wanting the death penalty for these pedophiles is authoritarianism, sign me up. You guys see how their job is to tie socialism and popular revolution with something that is law. They present the Soviet Union and these revolutions and not reflecting the will of the people. But capitalism, where the elite control policy, that's the true authoritarianism. So here's that. Let me finish this.
With the Soviet Union and Maoist China and other so-called communist systems.
Look, China, the so-called communist system. You got to see how the Western left wants you to, and the academia class wants you to condemn people who built up superpowers. Once again, China was a country destroyed by feudal lords, ran by poor peasants, became a fucking industrial superpower. Russia was an embarrassed state where the Tsar stole all the resources, created countless famines, enslaved ethnic minorities. Like, bro, the crimes of the Tsarists in Russia could be a 1-hour live stream alone. So what the Russian Revolution did was to take out their corrupt ruling class, provided power to the bourgeoisie and worker power to the peasants while building up an industrial powerhouse. But Noam Chomsky, like, oh, they're not real socialist. They're not real socialism, real communism. To brainwash the West, Western liberals and democratic socialism to believing that the way that you accomplish socialism is through democratic norms created by capitalists. You gotta go through the system created by capitalists that are rigged by capitalists and by capital itself. So by engaging in the strategy of going through bourgeoisie capitalist systems as a strategy to implement socialism, That is why American left movements haven't accomplished anything. That's why we don't have health care. That's why we haven't been able to rein in the military industrial complex. We haven't been able to rein in the police state because there has been an entire generation. What? He part of the silent generation? Yeah, the silent generation and boomer leftists that completely fed bullshit to the American working class. And watching this anti-communist still be alive and witnessing his legacy up in tatters is brilliant to see. Look, Chomsky weeping for a pedophile Mossad agent is a fitting end to his lifelong anti-communist crusade. And he explains, I watched the horrible way you're being treated in the press and in the public. It's painful to say, but I think the best way to proceed is to ignore it. Fam, Chomsky sent this in 2019, emotionally consoling Jeffrey Epstein after the revelations in the files. So Noam Chomsky can't even say, oh, I was friends with Jeffrey Epstein, but I didn't know all the evil shit he was doing. No, he was literally telling him, like, hey, man, I know they calling you a rapist, but keep your chin up, man. I know they're going after you, but keep your head up. Stay positive. Just ignore the criticisms. And he explains, I have plenty of experiences, though, of course, not on this scale. So Noam Chomsky, like, man, just like you, I've been criticized a lot. Not on the scale you have been, but you gotta know, you gotta ignore the haters. The haters saying that you're a child fucker, ignore them. He in the second paragraph, he expresses regret for the venomous attacks that he's receiving. He and this is another tweet I saw highlighting this. Noam Chomsky explains Jeffrey Epstein's child torturing sex trafficking ring as hysteria. Look, the hysteria that has developed about the abuse of women. So Jeffrey Epstein gets convicted and accused of raping hundreds of little girls. And Noam Chomsky's response is, that's hysteria. The tankies have been vindicated once again. And the Chomskyites, they have been in complete shambles. So I guess that's my no Chomsky part. I wasn't planning on covering it, but I guess I did do a mini segment on Chomsky. I guess I'll show you guys some more takes, I guess. I'll just read some tweets from the timeline on this topic. Noam Chomsky giving Epstein advice on how to outlast the pedophilia allegations against him. Anyone running interference for Chomsky at this point needs to be thrown in the garbage bin. Hey, Aaron Mate, please stop, bro. Like, I'm friends with Aaron Mate, so you guys know it's hard to bash my friends, but Aaron Mate, dude, stop. Come on, bro. Like, I know you looked up to Chomsky. I know you liked him. He talks about it all the time, but we gotta let him go. Gotta let him go, fam. Gotta let him go. The problem with Noam Chomsky has done a lot for the left is that it means nothing when the left he built can't point to a single victory. You guys, I didn't even bring that up. Like, people like, we gotta be thankful for what Noam Chomsky done for the left. What has he done? What the fuck are you talking about? Like, what victory is there? People say that about Dr. Cornel West and Bernie Sanders all the time. Like, man, Nick, I know Dr. Cornel West has some bad taste, but you gotta respect everything he did for the left in the United States. What did he do? We still don't have health care. We have millions unemployed. Dr. Cornel West and the black left specifically, black wealth, the income inequality between black men and white men is higher than it was in the height of the civil rights movement. You guys see what I'm talking about? These gray hair leftists, they spend their entire time patting themselves on the back, even though you haven't fucking accomplished anything. Yeah, this is the point I made all the time. I got that a lot when me and Dr. Cornel West had our little feud. Where people like, come on, Nick, you gotta respect the contribution Dr. Cornel West did. And I'm like, all right, give me a list. Give me a list of everything he accomplished. Going on CNN and getting a soundbite is not accomplishing anything. Hell, you guys realize that even winning an election isn't accomplishing anything. That's what the professional managerial class left don't understand. They will win one election after losing 200. They'll elect someone like Zoran Mamdani. They'll elect a Cori Bush. They'll elect Ilhan Omar. And they view that as a professional victory. Then you'll be like, hey, what have you done for left movements in the United States? They're like, don't you know that helped Ilhan Omar get elected? Nigga, that's not an accomplishment. What came from that election? Like, how did the working class materially benefit from that election? Here's a Ashton. We had him on before. We need to get Ashton back on. Noam Chomsky and Jeffrey Epstein casually exchanging emails about Venezuela's socialism not being real socialism. Chomsky debated real socialism with a pedophile worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Like, bro, that sentence alone, Chomsky debated what is real socialism with a pedophile worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Hugo Chavez didn't appear in the Epstein files and lifted millions of people out of poverty. How many people have known Chomsky lifted out of poverty? How many people have AOC lifted out of poverty? How many people have any? Bernie Sanders was a senator for 15, 20 years. He was in Congress 10 years before that. He was a mayor. What have you done to lift people out of poverty? But then those people are quick to like, oh, don't you know Nicolas Maduro's a tyrant? Don't you know Vladimir Putin is a thug, guys? All right, I think I'm just kind of chilling now. We had 2.5 hours. I told you guys, we had a powerful marathon stream today. I'm gonna see if I can find anything else on the time. I'm gonna just scroll the timeline, look at some chats, hang out for a bit. Man, Epstein in an email to Peter Thiel. As you probably know, I represent the Rothschilds. I saw this email earlier. So in the emails, Epstein openly admits that he's an agent of the Rothschild family. And we know the Rothschilds are a big funder, big supporter of Zionism. And they are a big part of this satanic cabal. As you know, I represent the Rothschilds. Yeah, the Rothschilds, the same banking dynasty that basically engineered the modern Israel. Yeah, I don't remember exactly the name of the Rothschild guy, but one of the Rothschilds, like, hey, don't you know that we're responsible for the creation of Israel? I think this is a pretty good receipt. The very same Rothschilds who Creepy Mansion shows up in Eyes Wide Shut during that elite occult ritual scene. Oh, yeah, that's another receipt. What the fuck did that one go? Where the movie that exposed and they explain how pedophile elites engage in mass sex trafficking, and their director was like killed immediately. Oh, now I need to find this video. Goddamn, lost it. Oh, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second.
While you look for it.
Hey, Zoe, what's popping, my friend? I thought I saved this one. Damn, I did. So I did a lot of work.
I'll give background on it. I've been dying for this story to come to light. Stanley Kubrick, who did The Shining, Odyssey, his IQ was off the charts. So he was a genius. He made Eyes Wide Shut, exposing all of these establishment elite crimes. And then suddenly, right after a small screening, he was heard arguing with others saying that you're not going to tell me what to do with my film. And then he died. And then they edited the whole movie, and there was Quentin Tarantino's co-writer was talking about it on Joe Rogan. There's receipts for all this. He said he has the original script and that they edited it all out. There was a narrator voice that they cut out, and they cut the final scenes. And supposedly in the final scenes, Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman end up giving their baby to these pedophile elites.
Bro, that's fucking crazy, bro. Like, here's the video. Look at this. This is the guy predicted it. He got killed immediately afterwards. And this is one of the things that conspiracy theories you should point to, because I remember this. I remember seeing this video clearly for the first time a long ass time ago. Like, this kind of stuff that conspiracy theorists used to talk about, and it's crazy to see how vindicated they was. I'm not saying it was me. I used to read their shit before I was a public communicator and citizen journalist. I was aware of this stuff. So here's the video for those who haven't seen it. Hope I don't get in trouble for showing this, but I'm gonna show it anyway. Fuck it.
Listen, Bill, I don't think you realize what kind of trouble you were in last night. Who do you think those people were? Those were not just ordinary people. If I told you their names, I'm not going to tell you their names, but if I did, I don't think you'd sleep so well.
He said, if I told you the names of the people in the masking that ritual, you wouldn't be able to sleep at night. He explains to this guy that those are not ordinary people. You think ordinary people have access to these kind of cult events like this? Like this, I won't play this part again. That's crazy. Look at this.
Those people were. Those were not just ordinary people. If I told you their names, I'm not going to tell you their names, but if I did, I don't think you'd sleep so well.
And we know from the files that George W. Bush was caught raping a child. Prince Andrew tortured a child before they sacrificed. Well, he raped and tortured a child, and then they sacrificed her. And that was the segment. Like, even the BBC was like, "Bro, do you guys see that picture of Prince Andrew?" So yeah, dude, people have no idea the kind of evil that we've been through. So yeah, I guess we can read some super chats. I'm gonna see what else. That was a great receipt. There's so much stuff to siphon through. Well, I'm just scratching the surface. Like, Epstein was working on genetically engineering black. Well, I didn't even see this. I didn't even see this one. Epstein was working on genetically engineering black people, but these private emails between fascist AI guys. What is he talking about here? Like Joshua Chomsky talk about engineering climate. So pretty much they were doing some nefarious ass shit. Epstein associates tortured U.S. federal agents in Mexico, reportedly severing an agent's arm. Jesus fucking Christ. Bro, GTA 5 didn't even get close to the absurdity of real life. You had a fucking secret civil wars that was going on between intelligence services. And it was apparently a very prominent figure from the United States in one of those videos. Wow, man. Dude, shit is going crazy in Mexico.
And it's all of them. It's all of them. There's nobody in power that isn't part of this club. It's just all of them. All of the Western elites, they have always been like this. And while Chomsky hates on Lenin, what Lenin was surrounded by in his times was at the outbreak of World War I, the superpowers were Russia, Germany, and Britain. And all of the ruling sovereigns of those countries were cousins. They were all grandkids of Queen Victoria. So it literally was this ruling elite controlling everything. And the revolution overthrew these banking powers.
And they will never forgive him for that. I think I read this one before. George W. Bush Jr. was was identified there, them cutting up babies there. Epstein, when asked about tax benefits and new bill, I don't know of any. They did a great job of closing most, at least for the goyim. The Epstein file, I saw this one earlier before. The Epstein files revealed that Israel hijacked the control of the Bitcoin network. Remember all those Zionist capitalists trying to tell people to get heavy into Bitcoin? Now you got to see why. Israel was paying the salaries of 60% of Bitcoin's core developers and offer highly elusive gifts behind the scenes. Epstein and Israel were also major investors in Blockstream. Dude, they really do run everything. Hope people realize that you have no power here. Like, you guys see how the dictatorship of capital works? And you guys argue for, they're like, man, we gotta oppose open borders. Because without border, we don't have a country. Nigga, the capitalist class are communicating and coordinating with each other across borders, across countries. Do you guys think Jeffrey Epstein and his friends acknowledged or was constrained by borders at all? They engaged in massive human trafficking in the Middle East, in Russia, in South America. They're not operating based on borders. Wow. All right, I think so. Yeah, I mean, thoughts. I think I'm gonna read some super chats. I think I read a lot of the receipts I wanted to get to. I got a few more, but I'm gonna save them for a fuller show.
Oh, these are so creepy. So creepy. Like, even when you know, it's still so creepy. The world has changed, it feels like, just because the conspiracy theorists have been vindicated and now more people are starting to come to accept that we are ruled by criminal, deranged people, because being rich is a disease. Hoarding that much wealth is a disease. You know, you're going to buy everything you want, all the mega yachts, islands, whatever you want. And at some point you get bored and you start dehumanizing people, and there's no end to that. We see them committing the highest crimes against humanity.
Yeah, here's the one that shows Donald Trump. Like, I still got receipts. I'm like, we're almost 3 hours in. I'm like, man, do I really got enough time to do this last segment? Like, I can show Donald Trump how he always been involved with this. The fact that they had teen modeling contests and child beauty pageants. Like, bro, I never understood that shit. What the fuck you mean a child beauty pageant? So what you judging based on how she looks? Like, the fuck? How was that ever a thing? And if you are living in the modern age and you adapting to information, you remember that rant I did about not sending your kids to war if you're a parent? If you send a kid to war as a parent, you failed. If you're a parent and you're not doing everything you can to talk your daughter out of being a model after it's been exposed that modeling agencies and talent agencies sell their girls off to Epstein, the guy that hotspot video, Jean-Luc Brunel, he was a famous top French modeling agent, and he was on trial for being complicit with Epstein crimes. And you want to know what happened to him? He was caught in prison and he hung himself. Just like Epstein, the guy. Yep. So if you're a parent in the modern age with all the information that we have about how the ruling class uses modeling as a way to find and recruit girls to sexually abuse them, if you're a parent and you don't do everything you can to stop your child from being a model, you are a failure and you're a complicit. In fact, you can. They're not like a soldier. Like the United States soldier were more. Example is more complicated. Nigga, if you're a grown person, you got your fucking child in teenage modeling, I think you're having to go to prison. Like, you fucked up in a monumental level, because here's the receipt I'm reacting to. Donald Trump was a judge at a teen modeling contest in 1991. The contest featured girls as young as 14 Recently, the Guardian newspaper discovered that the contest was a front for millionaires to have sex with the girls.
The 58 contestants participated in an exhaustive round of personal interviews designed to help our judges discover what makes each one special.
Come on, bro, white America, you're cooked. Why would you even invite Donald Trump to something like this? Why? Like, how old is he there? Like 40? Let me do the math. Like, he like maybe 40. Maybe close to 50 because he's like 80 now, minus 30. Yeah, he like 40 to 50. Why would you even invite a grown-ass fucking man to this creepy-ass event? Let's say you're a creepy motherfucker and you want to hold a pageant with teenage girls, which is crazy. White America is fucking crazy that it's ever been a thing. But let's say you are a fucking creep. You have other girls as a judge, right? Like, shouldn't you have like an 18-year-old girl, 20-year-old, maybe a young woman at best? Like, doesn't that make sense? Hope y'all not being crazy with this thing. But why would you pick a 40 to 50-year-old man to be the judge? They know exactly what they was doing. And I am convinced, obviously not all of them, but a good majority of all these child pageants is connected to child sex trafficking. No one can convince me otherwise after all this stuff being revealed, but let me finish the video.
Exhaustive round of personal interviews designed to help our judges discover what makes each one special.
You're 5'9" reading? Serious, huh? We may measure again tonight before Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, Amy.
The concentration was intense inside the judging room.
I don't like you as you are.
And out.
I'm just so excited.
Look, this shit made me uncomfortable. This video made me very uncomfortable. I don't know if I should finish this. Holy, I was like, I'm gonna skip through the whole. I'm literally getting uncomfortable watching this, bro.
It's nothing compared to what's in the Epstein files. What it describes Trump doing in the Epstein files.
Trump is in bed with the cartels. That's what must be why he faked killing cartels when he murdered fishermen. Yeah, this is in the Epstein files. It confirms that Trump has ties to the Sinaloa cartel. And this is the story talking about what Donald Trump actually did that the corporate media is not talking about. They will say Trump is in the file. All right, what do you do? You want to tell your audience what these people enabled? He beat this 13-year-old because she bit him while performing oral sex. I'm trying to read the part with the cartel. I'm trying to skim through this. These emails are very. Oh, look at this. This is the part, the Sinaloa cartel. Yeah, everything they say is a projection, guys. Everything they say is a projection. One last receipt I'm trying to find here. Oh yeah, I definitely gotta read this before we wrap up. And I got a ton of super chats to get through. So yeah, this definitely probably gonna be a 3-hour stream. Let's go. It's always love, it's always life. Make this a little bit easier for me. A little bit easier when I can take it. The fact that I can take a break and make it easier, I can just give me a chance to recharge, make it easier to do these longer streams. But bro, do you guys remember this? I remember this. I remember this vividly because I did a hotspot maybe a year ago. I don't remember exactly when it was. While I explained how everything about the Epstein killing himself story made no sense. Zoe, I remember you have to remember me covering this, right? I covered how. Like Epstein was on suicide watch, and hang yourself on suicide watch is essentially impossible because they put you in a room where the ceilings are short. And I noticed because there was someone who was part of a high security prison where Epstein was sent, and he heard that Epstein killed himself, and he was at that prison before. He's like, bro, what? Don't you know it's impossible to do that? They put you in a short ceiling room and you got nothing but paper on. Like, you have no solid material to form a basis in which you can hang yourself on. But despite that, the media and everyone told you uncritically that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself. And there was a story I reported on many, many times. So now there was this post that was sent a long time ago from Poe and 4chan, even before it was announced that Epstein killed himself. and he blew the whistle about how there was a secret van that had no license plate number. They didn't sign in. They broke protocol, and they was engaging in Epstein's cell. And at the end here, he says, "Yo, guys, I'm shaking right now, but I think they switched him out." Actually, I think it's worth reading the whole thing. Let me read it. I'm not saying anything after this. Please do not dox me. But last night, after 4:15 count, they took him medical in a wheelchair, front cuffed, but not the one triad. Not one triad nurse says they spoke to. Sorry, not one nurse says they spoke to him. Next thing we know, a trip van shows up. We do not release on the weekends unless a judge orders it. Next thing we know, he's put in a single man cell and hangs himself. Here's the thing: the trip van did not sign in, and we did not record the plate number. And a guy in a green dress military outfit was in the back of the van, according to the tower guy who let him through the gate. And that's what we say. Yo, guys, I'm shaking right now, but I think they switched Epstein out. So the reason why I'm reading this is because apparently this guy. Remember when this post was announced, people thought this was a elaborate troll. I remember seeing this. I didn't report on it because it didn't have anything that you can tie it to. Well, at least I don't remember reporting on it. It was something that people thought was a funny 4chan poll post. But apparently, this person is in the Epstein files. And he was doxxed and identified by the federal government. His name was Roberto Griava, an officer at the Metropolitan Correctional Center. So the Epstein files confirmed that this was real. And then this guy is now found like dead. I think that's what I heard. I want to make sure I double check that. But apparently this guy like dead, missing. I got to double check that part actually. I got a lot of information in my mind. I don't want to mistake that. But I'm pretty sure this guy was hunted down. But the point is, there's a good chance, if this is true, and I don't think there's zero chance that Epstein killed himself. The clone body, a lot of people point to this. They point to how the clone body doesn't look the same. I saw this piece of evidence too, but I didn't latch onto it that hard. But apparently, like, ears are very unique to each person. And people will look at the ear of the guy that said is Jeffrey Epstein, and it clearly is not his fucking ear. They got this fucking look-alike. I don't know. They killed him. We don't know. Grahava. Sorry. It's been a long night. I'm kind of tired. I know. I'm butchering a lot of names today. So I don't want to say anything definitively, but knowing how the ruling class operated and how they conspired in these emails, does it seem too crazy like they swapped this motherfucker out? But I know one thing for a damn fact. If you believe the official story, had an IQ of a hamster. I know that for a damn fact. Nothing about the official story makes any sense. So Epstein, it's possible that this motherfucker is somewhere in Tel Aviv with a different name. This motherfucker is they probably gave him a completely different backstory, family name. Well, he's probably Benjamin Johnson now in Tel Aviv, kicking it with a kickback. It's possible. I'm flowing this more as a theory than a fact. It's possible, right? All right, let's get into some super chats. Zoe, thanks for joining me tonight. I know you're busy. Thank you. Thanks for joining me. Let's see if I missed any other super chats. Yeah, I saw that. Had the rock star and former GTA producer both in the files. GTA 6 release date puts back to 2020. Yeah, we got real life GTA 5 before we got GTA 6. Isn't that some shit? Bro, the FIB IAA storyline from the GTA 5 is not shit compared to what really happened. Not shit. And we're being real. Most people knew the political class were pedophiles when Epstein deleted himself in 2018 and kept voting and donating. Hey, man, you're not wrong. Accountability is needed. Man. the propaganda that Americans are hit through is intense because studies show that Congress has around a 15% approval rating. People hate American politicians, but American politicians, the incumbents, they win at around a 98% rate. So despite hating the politicians in this country, we can't get rid of them. What do you call that? That's a dictatorship of capital. So yeah, it doesn't matter what the people think at the end of the day. I don't know how anyone can continue. Like DeSantis is in the Epstein files, and he's been accused of raping a boy. But watch Florida vote for this motherfucker anyway, despite that. I really hope that this is a great awakening. I see a lot of people waking up on this. I really hope that this is not a story people forget in like a year or so. I'm not. I'm for sure not. I refer to them all as child torturing pedophiles from now on. So I think I'm caught up here. Zoya, do you have anything else you want to say before we end? Anything I missed? I had a whole segment on Jay-Z and Beyonce and the Black Capitalist class been on there, but at the end of the day, it's just celebrity shit.
Killer pedophiles, not just pedophiles, killer pedophiles.
Child torturing pedophiles. Like that's a level of evil that we can't even begin to comprehend.
Babies. I like the images I have in my head from just reading these things are beyond.
Dude, the fact that they had incubators, they had girls whose only job was to get pregnant so they can have other babies that they can eat. How many times did corporate media bring that up? That was one of the most sickening things I saw in the files. Was like I can't even imagine it. I can't even imagine the horror, like what they haven't shown us. Like this is why they're not gonna flinch after seeing what happened to the children in Gaza, and they're not flinching after all the Ukrainians that they're complicit with having killed. They're not flinching at images of Abu Ghraib. They're like, we do Abu Ghraib all the time, and the FBI is covering it up.
Exactly, and it is the tip of the spear, and these are ruling class crimes as long as there's been a ruling class. Because it's unnatural for people to create elites that are above the law and write different laws for the people that they oppress. The crimes they committed in India, in the Caribbean, in Africa, this is like the first concentration camps weren't in Germany. Britain had concentration camps way before it was cool.
Right. Yeah. One of the most violent empires of all time for America hit. Like genocide was standard occurrence in the UK back in the day. It's more unheard of when they wasn't mass murdering people, if anything. But these are the Western societies that the social democrat left still have respect for. Like I remember AOC. There's a quote I'll never forget where AOC was like, man, people think we're some crazy radical, but we want more of a socialism like they have in the UK. You guys remember when AOC said that? I wonder if I can find that quote. That was a long time ago. That was one of the times that I saw that quote. Like, bro, get the fuck out of here.
She means they want imperialism with healthcare.
I'm actually looking for it because I haven't shown that receipt in a long ass time. We almost at the end here. I want to see. God damn it!
While you look for that, what's unique is that they're shoving it in our faces because they do control all the content that's out there. It's not like some brave fighter got the Epstein files released. There have been whistleblowers talking about this for decades. For as long as I've been alive, I've seen whistleblowers talking about this, survivors talking about this, and they all end up dead. They all end up dead. People, and they say, I'm not suicidal. I want to live. And they're dead the next day. So, at some point, we have to wonder what is the bigger game here. We have ICE just murdering people out in the streets blatantly. This always happens. Cops always kill people. Cops are the greatest domestic terrorists, the real domestic terrorists of America. But right now, the media is just really shoving this blatant fascism in our face right after making us watch a live stream genocide, and now the Epstein files. And you have to always wonder, what are they doing in the background? Because they have a plan. We might be in shock, but they have a plan. We're out organized right now.
Yeah, I don't know if I found the exact quote. I found an article where she's talking about her kind of socialism. She's like, AOC has likened her view of democratic socialism to Scandinavian social democracy. We're talking about single-payer healthcare that has already been successful in many different models, from Finland to Canada to the UK. So essentially, these are the countries that she want to model shit off of, after, countries that are complicit in genocide. The UK is implementing austerity on their population in order to fund NATO and Nazis in Ukraine.
All these people are a psyop. They're designed to create an outlet for all the frustration that we feel. They have their outlets on the right and they have their outlets on the left with these artificial culture wars. And it's all designed not to bring the working class together. And the working class of America has forgotten its history. They have won many gains through bloody battles of factory owners and people uniting across racial lines, religious lines, everything around class interests. And they took on the bosses and they won repeatedly. The international communist song of workers, it originated in America from the working class struggle that was happening here. They've erased all of that. And now they have us all divided and hating each other. And again, people are falling for this hatred of immigrants. Immigrants aren't the ones that are hoarding your resources. Immigrants are not the reason for any of your problems. They're not why grocery prices are up. They're actually keeping grocery prices down by picking berries for slave wages. So they just have us all getting angry at each other so we don't organize around our common class interests. And I'm sorry, I've been saying this my whole life, but time's running out. Time's running out to organize and actually mount a powerful offensive against these killer, pedophile, child torturing elites. There isn't enough names for their depravity. I mean, that's why Putin called them satanic. It's actually true.
Biden. Oh yeah, by the way, it's been confirmed now that all these culture wars, the strategy of convincing people to believe that immigrants are our enemies, was a plan of the Epstein pedophile elite. So if you played a part in that, congratulations, you're a chump. You are youthful goy cattle for the pedophile Jewish supremacists. That's exactly what they want you to do. And guess who's been saying that for years, Zoya? We have been saying.
We were ahead of the game for a long time, and we're just getting vindicated all the time. Question is, what are we going to do with it?
That's very well said. I'm beyond the point of just shifting the Overton window to the left. I think we need to actually get started and actually start working on stuff. So I will 100% agree with that. Here's another headline. I'll just find new headlines to wrap the stream. Biden is in the Epstein files. Like, there's 3 million files, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this stream. I tried my best. I kind of went a little bit out of order for my plan, but there were so many receipts. I would at least give you guys a framing of what was going on. It took 3 hours. I still didn't get to fucking like every nook and cranny. But I'm gonna be back live, so I didn't want to stress too much over it. Oh yeah, also the corporate media they are in shambles. I think that's another segment I have planned, like showing corporate media reaction, how they spend it. I'll show you guys one headline, a mini, but they were trying to paint. I'll show you guys this. This is a preview of a segment I got planned. They hear from Glenn Deason. I'm gonna try to find. They're trying to paint Epstein as a Russian asset. Like the amount that Western media is lying to people. Zelensky in Ukraine, like, for example, there was a file where Jeffrey Epstein and his friends were talking about regime change in Moscow because they were blocking their Ukraine proxy war. But look, corporate media is trying to make it how Epstein worked for the KGB instead of them actively admitting the fact they work for the Mossad and CIA. Like there's so much fake news being spread on this. Here's Glenn Deason. British propaganda attempts to present Epstein as a Russian asset, despite all the evidence suggesting he was a U.S.-Israeli asset. Additionally, the emails about regime change in Moscow does not fit this evidence-free narrative at all. So he just used the same example. And here's the author of that article that claimed that Epstein worked for the KGB. I'm not going to say it's all the time. I'm not going to say it's every single fucking time. It's a Jewish supremacist propagandist. But it's always them every single goddamn time. The guy who wrote that article took third place in an emerging journalist award from an organization called Jewish Renaissance. So the Jewish Renaissance journalist is now spreading misinformation about Putin working directly with Epstein despite there being no evidence. And they're like pumping this out. I might cover this more in detail, debunking it later. Let's see. I think I got one more receipt. Someone laughing at these pathetic headlines. Oh no, that's
and they try to blame China too. I mean, whatever the West does, they're like, how can we blame Russia and China for this?
All right, last receipt, I promise. I'm mad because there's still so much to dive into, but we really do got in. Like for a period of time, Epstein lived in the Vatican with Pope John II. So the Vatican was involved as well. Actually, let me see what the community notes here said. The purported email claiming Epstein lived in Vatican with the Pope John II is dated in 2015. Okay, so I don't know. This might be. I'm not sure this is real, so I gotta be careful. I gotta be careful with this one. All right. With that said, I think we can begin to wrap up. Zoya, thank you for joining me tonight. I'm actually not sure. I retract that. I'm not sure this one is based on the community. I'm not sure this is true. Like, fam, you guys don't have to post fake shit. There's so much real crazy shit, right?
Yeah, don't do that. We have enough receipts. Oh, that's a gross one too. Oh, that's
I gotta be careful. I gotta be careful what I show, man. It is real. Oh yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, I can't show this. I can't. That's a young girl in a bikini, by the way. Holy fuck! This shit made me sick. I'm sick.
That makes you human. If you're not sick by everything that's been coming out in the last few days, reevaluate your whole life.
I honestly really, I have a hard time fucking covering this shit, man. It sucks. Like I ended with this one here. Epstein emails back and forth with his fellow Jews confirm that Jews are at war with the Goyim. That's what they said. They said there's a war between the Jews and the non-Jews, and Jews are currently winning. These are the kind of stuff they say all the time to each other, but we're not allowed to bring it up. Once again, not our anti-Zionist Jews brothers and sisters, but the majority of Judaism that is filled with these Jewish supremacists. This is the conversation that they have with each other all the time. They're like, we fucking those non-Jews up. We win the war of the Goyim. All right, anyway, thank you for joining me, Zoya. I really will end it here. I think I got through all the super chats. Let me double check. Make sure you guys support us on Patreon. Support our labor.
Wednesday, Nick's going to be back with Sarah from DDG. They're going to break down more stuff on the Epstein files. Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure you guys tune in. And as always, I have to, because it's the reason that I do any of this at all. Guys, organize. You look at who is ruling our lives. Every aspect of your life has been socially engineered by these people to keep you asleep, to keep you in denial of your power. They really have you convinced there's nothing we could do. There's nothing we could do. There's nothing we can do individually. But these people are a tiny fraction of all of humanity. There's billions of us. And most people, majority of the world is oppressed. Majority of the world doesn't have wealth, doesn't have capital. So we have to get over our disagreements and differences, many of which are manufactured, learn to interact with each other respectfully, agree to disagree on things that don't matter or could be worked out, or it's okay if we don't all think the same way on certain things. Maybe some people are more traditional. Some people are more rebellious against social norms. It's fine. It doesn't matter. Be you. But don't let it stand in the way of class consciousness. You have to start building autonomous structures outside of the system. If we're ever going to mount any kind of revolution, any kind of general strike, any kind of meaningful opposition to power, we have to have resources that are outside of the system. Because as long as we rely on them for food, for shelter, for all of our basic necessities, they own us. So the way to build power is to get into your communities and get to know your neighbors and start building power locally amongst yourselves. Then we can unite local chapters and then we can coordinate. The time to do this was yesterday. The time to do this was decades ago. So we're behind, but it's never too late because we do outnumber them. We are extremely powerful and we can win and we must win.
So is love. So is life. Always in the lab cooking. Looking forward to our show with Sarah. Maybe we can dive more onto the Ukrainian child sex trafficking ring that they have there. Still a lot of great content coming up. Appreciate you guys for watching this marathon stream with us tonight. Have a great rest of your night. Take care, y'all.